The beginning of the story features a newspaper with hot news, along with a sense of urgency emerging, suggesting that something is wrong with the articles on this paper. Death is evident in every word printed on the paper. Marquis Manhwa has died in a carriage accident. Was it an accident or a murder? On Monday, a count died in a slip accident. A series of deadly accidents seemed endless, horrifying cases occurred one after another, filling people with fear. On Tuesday, an officer died after falling from a horse. On Wednesday, the cruise ship sank, and all passengers on the top floor died. On Thursday, a young lady died from poisoning at a tea party. Friday, Saturday, even Sunday, all reported on the deaths. Holding the newspaper in her hand was a noble lady in a tailored dress with long flowing white hair. Reading the news, she found it strange this was the 7th death this week. The girl's face was very beautiful, but her expression was incredibly unusual. To her, the news in the papers was like a bolt from the blue. She silently screamed inside, "What did I do this time?" The initial setting is a world in the era of monsters that cannot coexist with any other creatures because they are a threat to the Empire. Almost everyone has given up fighting against the monsters, due to the overwhelming difference in power. "Stop!" a loud scream from a girl with fluffy pink hair, dressed in a long white dress. She was like the savior of all humanity, her appearance like a fairy dispelling all darkness and cruelty. And indeed, her fate is that of a saint who can communicate with monsters. With her extraordinary abilities, that holy woman fulfilled the mission placed upon her shoulders. It was to save the Empire in its time of peril, and during that journey, the saintess found the love of her life. It seemed like a fairy tale, but no, the presence of a wicked woman cast a dark cloud over the future of that saintly woman, Thibaut Louise Guy, the former saint. The evil woman, or rather the former Saint Thibaut, believed that the saint had taken her place. Everything she took was mine, a villainess with a grudge against the main heroine. She got caught up in absurd delusions and harassed the saint by any means necessary. But every time, the saintess overcomes danger with wise methods. The evil woman was growing increasingly anxious because none of her schemes were succeeding, and if things continued like this, it would be really dangerous if she disappeared. A dark thought flashed through the mind of the former Saint Thibaut. Yes, she smiled smugly. If the saint disappears, I will become the true saint. But the rise of the evil woman also failed. Her scheme was unsuccessful. The greatest punishment for the greedy and cruel is to execute Thibaut Louise Guy. The end of the villain is execution and displaying the head to the public. In the end, the beautiful and kind-hearted heroine, the saint who saved the entire kingdom, lived happily with the love of her life in a world without evil. And the entire story is called The Monster Taming Flower, abbreviated as Monster Flower. At first, she did not even realize she had transmigrated into that novel. She remembered 20 days years ago when she was just an ordinary college student in Korea. A car accident on her way home took her life. After the blinding car headlights, when she opened her eyes again, everything reflected in her eyes no longer belonged to the old world. A voice whispered in her ear, waking her from a deep sleep. "This is Thibaut Saw." "Yes, sir," came a reply. When she opened her eyes, still groggy, she was stunned to find herself in a cradle, not a hospital. In front of her stood an older man with a maid beside him. The man spoke. "She looks just like her mother. It would be much better if the child resembled her father more." Little Thibaut, wide-eyed and bewildered, stared at the strangers before her, speaking in a language she did not understand. "Who are these people? Is this a dream?" When the middle-aged man said that, the butler standing behind him bowed his head and replied, "You never loved him while he was alive." The middle-aged man did not argue. He just covered his face and responded, "That is right, he is my son after all. When I learned she had a granddaughter, I wondered how ugly she might be." But despite what everyone was saying, little Thibaut was busy marveling at everything around her. Gazing up at the lavish ceiling, reaching out with her tiny lotus-like arm to touch the toy hanging in front of her. Thibaut could not help but gasp in awe. No way, even in dreams, it is this vivid. Looking up at the elegant and luxurious scene before her, Thibaut gradually accepted an unbelievable truth. She really had been reborn, and into such a wealthy family too. Thibaut barely had time to rejoice in her wealthy family before realizing her own emptiness through the adults' conversation. "Ethan, what if she is rich? Her parents died right after she was born, and the thorny path ahead is all too clear." The conversation among the adults continued to reach Thibaut's little ears, but had not the young master's couple left behind the child of prophecy? Hearing this, Thibaut suddenly wondered, the child of prophecy. The girl was born to save the Empire and is an honor for everyone. The name of the Gali family will shine forever. What is the matter? Thibaut confused Ho Gwin Hong. The prophecy says that this year, a girl inheriting the Gali bloodline will save the empire from danger. Thibaut opened her eyes and looked at the world in shock for a moment, realizing she was reincarnated as a special existence destined to receive the prophecy. Thus, Thibaut's growth process was particularly challenging as the saint and savior of the empire. From practicing swordsmanship, to learning the official language, foreign languages, and noble language. And many other lessons like how to walk, take it slow, turn gracefully. Who is not that too much already? Of course I have been reincarnated, but at this age, just eating well is enough to be loved. While practicing the ceremony with her tutor, Thibaut thought to herself. Naturally, her distraction was immediately noticed. The teacher clapped loudly to bring Thibaut's mind back. Miss, you need to focus. Trying hard to follow the proper movements of the noble Thibaut. He thought to himself, she must be forcing me to learn Ethan intensely because of pressure from Grandpa. This is clearly abuse. Meanwhile, the Equation teacher continued to torment Thibaut with dedication. Good, let us try again. Just keep living like that for a few years. Thibaut suddenly felt strange. Her life seemed oddly familiar, like she had seen it somewhere before. A sudden thought flashed through Thibaut's mind. It seemed she had remembered something. Similar to the Devil's Flower story, but my life is more like that Villainess character. Thibaut the little one had been reborn for 6 years, and if everything followed the plot of the novel, she will die because she is sentenced to death. Oh my gosh, just thinking about it, Thibaut, a 6-year-old, can't help but want to faint on the spot at the dark future ahead. Until now, Thibaut just realized this is a world in a novel. Ethan, what on earth has she been struggling for all this time for some prophecy? In fact, the prophecy was not entirely wrong. It is just that the girl inherited that bloodline. The true saint is the daughter of a distant family from the Gali clan and is the protagonist of this novel. She is a Tien elephant. Miss, the carriage is ready. The door opened with the appearance of the maid. Thibaut asked how long until the appointment time. There is still enough time, the maid replied respectfully. Thibaut, dressed in a beautiful and glamorous gown, finished preparing and told her maid, please pass on the message that I will be right out. Memories from a past life flooded back, leaving Thibaut completely exhausted. She had been cornered like this since she was a child and truly wondered if the child of prophecy was meant to be like. Just because she was favored by the gods, I never thought my position, which I had worked my whole life for, would be taken away Ethan easily. If I did not have memories from my past life, I would have gone crazy. Thibaut in Monster Flowers initially did not bully the Daisy, but she was mocked as a liar and a villain. Eventually, she fell into darkness and committed wicked acts. But that is Thibaut in the novel, not me, Thibaut smiled confidently. Thibaut walked over to the carriage and told the driver, take me to the cafe I usually go to and... No need to wait for Thibaut to finish speaking. The attentive driver understood and handed the newspaper to Thibaut. You meant the newspaper, miss, I have already prepared it. Thanking the driver, Thibaut got into the carriage with drifting thoughts in her mind. If that position of the saintess was not hers, it was still something to be grateful for. Gently brushing back a strand of hair behind her ear, Thibaut said, let us head out. Thibaut is determined, I will live my life, and to achieve that, she has worked very hard. Thibaut ignored them, even when those aristocrats caused trouble for her or spread baseless rumors about her. No matter what, she will get through it. Like this, it has already been successful, a life dependent on oneself. Thibaut will do good deeds and walk on a path full of flowers. Sitting on the swaying carriage to the meeting point, Thibaut happily thought to herself, the hardships are over, her future will be filled with flowers. But those thoughts shattered when Thibaut read the content in the newspaper. These supporting characters were destined to die at the hands of Thibaut. Now they are all dying one by one. All of them had mocked Thibaut. Thibaut was confused, wondering why this was happening, why these people kept dying. This is not something I killed, where did it go wrong, the life full of flowers that I wished for? Everything collapsed in just a moment. The shocking news almost made Thibaut's soul leave her body. On the way, Thibaut kept asking himself, where exactly did it go wrong? Let us think again. Clearly, everything went according to plan. Because we planned to live well, things have gone quite smoothly until discovering that Daisy is the true saint. Last month, the main plot of Monster Flower began. During a hunt organized by the royal family, a place filled with many nobles, the monster appeared. Everyone panicked and ran chaotically. Things gradually spiraled out of control due to the sudden appearance of the monster. Screams filled the air, monster, help. The monster, as big as a building, left everyone frozen in fear. True to the original story, Daisy tamed that fierce beast, turning a raging monster into a giant, gentle puppy under his hand and care. Everyone okay? Daisy asked everyone with concern. It was the moment the female lead was revealed to be the true saint of the prophecy. Daisy continued with a saintly demeanor, seemingly startled by how noisy the usually quiet lakeside had become. Now that it is calm again, everything's fine. It is unbelievable, everyone is stunned and shocked by what just happened. Cheers and praises echoed endlessly. A monster like that would require an elite knight to defeat. Ethan, how could she tame it easily? The whispers and gossip slowly shifted direction. Could it be that the saintess in the prophecy is not Miss Galley but Miss Daisy? If Ethan, has she been pretending to be the saintess and lying all this? The public began to gossip enthusiastically, thinking back that Miss Galley and Miss Daisy were the same age. And I am sure the saint mentioned in the prophecy is Miss Daisy. Everyone started chiming in. Yeah, Princess Thibaut has never shown her strength, so what will Princess Thibaut do now? Seeing the endless gossip about herself, Thibaut remained silent. Thibaut knew everything would happen like this, even though she knew it well. As the prophesied saintess from a young age, all of this made her feel truly lonely now that she had become useless. That is why Thibaut in the original story struggled so much. After all, she just wanted to be recognized for her own worth. But for her, it was different. Now she had no intention of foolishly diving into that mud pit. Seeing Thibaut deep in thought, another wave of murmurs broke out, people whispering quietly, "Is she thinking about defending herself? That is impossible." Everyone saw what Daisy did. Right, after all, who would listen to the voice of a fake saintess anyway? Thibaut moved in front of Daisy and spoke sincerely, calling the saint's name. "You are really good at this." Thibaut held Daisy's hand and encouraged in a friendly and intimate way. Her next words left everyone, including Daisy, stunned. No one expected her to say that. "Thanks to you, all of us have been saved. Your ability is truly exceptional." With a smile on her face and a relaxed expression, Thibaut softly said the one destined by the prophecy might just be her. The reaction of Thibaut was beyond everyone's expectations. People thought she would retaliate, but instead, she easily admitted it. At this moment, Thibaut feels very relieved. "Noisier than I thought. There is nothing good about being stuck forever." After stating her point clearly, Thibaut did not stay any longer. She bid everyone farewell with a noble gesture. "Well, I will take my leave now." Everything happened so fast that Daisy did not have time to say anything. At that moment Thibaut thought, yeah, ending it like this is perfect. But nothing is ever that simple. Although everything seemed fine up until that point, that is why she decided to give up her title as a saint and wanted to embark on a new life. Unexpectedly, everyone who argued with Thibaut died one after another. Holding the newspaper in hand, Thibaut really wanted to curse. This is definitely the kind of situation that could easily be mistaken for murder. "Oh my God, the path of flowers, my life, what on earth is going on here?" A deep, warm voice suddenly rang out, cutting off Thibaut's train of thought. The thoughts made her forget reality. Getting lost in the content of the newspaper made her forget she was sitting with him. "Thibaut," the man gently called her name and sincerely expressed, "If there is anything I can help with, I will do it no matter what. If you have any worries, just feel free to speak up." That was Ethan, a man Samantha, Thibaut's fiancé and the villain in the monster flower. Thibaut quickly folded the newspaper and reassured him. "Oh no, it is nothing serious, Ethan." He looked a bit too worried, did not he? Thibaut let out a gentle sigh and said, "I was just too focused on the newspaper, sorry about that." As she spoke, she silently thought about him. A man Ethan kind of bordered on foolishness, only seeing the good in people. Ethan smiled gently and replied, "You do not need to apologize. I usually read the newspaper during tea time anyway." Thibaut continued to marvel inwardly. He is Ethan kind and gentle that he could not turn his back on Thibaut in the original story. The ending for him when staying by Thibaut's side until the very end was being used and dying. At that moment, Ethan still comforted her, saying, "I am fine, Ethan, just relax." In the original, after Thibaut learned that Daisy was the true saintess, she planned to kill the main character. "What, Daisy is going to light the torch? That can't happen. I can't just let everything be taken away. One seeks out her fiancé and acts pitiful to take advantage of him. So I absolutely can't stand seeing her at the Kentuck torch ceremony instead of me. Please let her be sick that day." One handed Ethan a vial of poison and convinced him, "Please secretly mix this into Thibaut's cup of tea for me." And Thibaut's fiancé was truly softened by her tears. However, believing in Thibaut's words and giving the medicine to Daisy went against his ethics. Without hesitation, Ethan tried the medicine himself, disregarding his own safety. What is surprising here is, just as Thibaut said, he was only sick for 3 days and then woke up. This made him very happy and he thought to himself, she really is not someone with a bad heart. Ethan believed in Thibaut's words and mixed the potion into Tu's tea, But what he did not expect was that when this potion mixed with black tea, it could become a deadly poison. Saint Daisy fell into a deep sleep due to poisoning, causing everyone to worry. As for Thibault's fiancé, Ethan, he was imprisoned for allegedly conspiring to murder the saint. Even knowing he was being deceived, Ethan still protected his fiancé. Thibault remembered reading this novel and wondered why there could be such a fool, why someone could be Ethan stupid. However, now that she has met him, she realizes he is not foolish at all. He is just kind, innocent, and even full of responsibility, not to mention very handsome. She feels a bit regretful for thinking that way in the past. Back to the conversation between the two, Ethan continued. But this is the first time you have reacted like that when reading the news. May I ask which newspaper made you Ethan worried? Ethan showed a face full of grievance, helplessness. It is really frustrating to see you suffering like that. Seeing Ethan's concern for her, Thibault could not help but squint one eye because of the radiance emanating from him. It was too dazzling. Thibault looked at Ethan and sighed. If this is not an angel, then who is? Not wanting Ethan to continue worrying, she quickly reassured him. It is really nothing special. Then she thought to herself, I can't even believe that is my fiancé. How can someone Ethan gentle and pure exist in this world? Then Thibault put the newspaper on the table, handed it to Ethan, and explained the reason for his unusual behavior up until now, which was because of this newspaper. Ethan picked up the newspaper and read it carefully. Next to him, Thibault added, Marquis Manhwa died in a carriage accident. As you can see, this accident is a bit strange. That was an accident caused by a broken carriage wheel, but something is not right here, Ethan continued. The carriage of Marquis Manhwa was made just a week ago. Ethan, that should not have happened. Thibault continued to express her views, saying that many believe this was not a carriage accident but caused by a perpetrator. Ethan replied in a low voice. A dark and negative energy emanated from him, and everyone thinks you are the culprit. All the victims of recent accidents argued with you, Ethan. They think you are the culprit. What kind of irresponsible article is this? Thibault seemed not to notice his change and continued talking. On the surface, it appeared to be just coincidental. Ethan spoke up in her defense. Even if I did argue with the victim, were not they the ones who started it first? Remembering the previous argument with the victims, Thibault realized that what they said was completely true. Like when the Marquis Manhwa picked a fight with Thibault, he mocked and pretended to be the child of prophecy, the holy woman. In the end, if he is not a fraud, then what is he? At this very moment, if she brought her fiancé to see an opera, it would be unbearable. Along with a lady insulting Thibault in the store. And Marquis Manhwa caused trouble at the theater. Everyone met their demise. Although this was the case, Thibault was not happy at all because she was accused of murder even though she did nothing. But talking to Ethan also helped Thibault feel a little more comfortable. Being with him was truly peaceful. After discovering that Daisy was the real saint, Thibault was completely left alone. On the surface, they greeted her with a word or two, but that was it. Everyone turned their backs on her, except for him. Mixed feelings indeed. As soon as Ethan read it from this newspaper, she believed that Thibault was innocent without any doubt. Looking at Ethan seriously holding the newspaper reading, Thibault could not help but feel a silent gratitude in his heart. Seeing Ethan's face still tense and full of worry, Thibault comforted him. It does not matter, Ethan, you are truly innocent. The truth will come out eventually. Just relax your expression. Hearing that, Ethan still could not stay calm. He truly cared about this matter. He knew, but he could not help but mind the humiliation you had to endure. His face was still full of worry. Seeing Ethan like that, Thibault was deeply moved. Moreover, Ethan's eyes now looked just like a puppy's. He kept looking at me with those innocent eyes. That is against the rules, you know. Thibault noticed that words alone were not enough to comfort Ethan, so she stepped forward and gently cupped his face with her hands. In a ethanft, reassuring tone, she said, Ethan, I am fine, Ethan, there is no need for you to worry. Leaning in and grabbing the arm that is comforting him, Ethan, slightly sad, replied, Thibault always says it is okay, but he is really worried he will miss out on something bad. I know, thanks for your concern, but everything is really fine. Still not quite assured, Ethan asks again, are you really okay? Thibault confidently replies, of course. Because I think I will catch the criminal who committed these actions, Thibault said with a confident and determined look. That is right, there is a reason why Thibault is determined to catch the criminal, and it is because he is the biggest obstacle to her goal. Thibault pondered, those I never killed are dead, and now I am suspected of being the killer, a conclusion unfolding just like the original story. There is no answer, just let yourself be exiled. Thibaut decided not to face it anymore and immediately thought about exile. Though it seemed a bit extreme after going through this reality, it was the best option for her at the moment. A few days ago, because of thinking about these things, she tossed and turned all night and could not sleep. She began to ethernert out her thoughts. First, although she was the villain in the original, this was too harsh for the character Thibaut. Currently, she is not like Thibaut in the original story, who always caused trouble and hindered Daisy. She simply and gently returned the title of saint to Daisy. Thibaut held her head in despair, thinking that if she did that and walked away without saying a word, at least no one would stand in front of her and scold her. But the outcome was far from what she imagined. She was even more shunned by everyone. Although she was not as cruel as Thibaut in the original story, she was now somewhat gentle and humorous, yet things were still pretty bad. It is not like she did not explain the prophecy. If people did not treat her like a saint, she would not kill everyone. When she met people, she often joked around, raising her hand and shouting, "Here comes the fake saint." But why does everyone blame and hate her Ethan much? What exactly is the reason she is being treated this way? Second, if she keeps being labeled as a murderer, her long-term plans will be disrupted. Considering the current situation, it won't be long before Thibaut is abandoned by her family. The heiress believed to be a saint is actually a fraud, with rumors even suggesting she is a murderer. Thibaut knows that a family like the Galley, who value honor, will never let her off. They might rush her into marriage to seize the Galley mansion. The expression on Thibaut's face darkened. She thought, so it will be different from the original. I might survive, but that is all. Clearly, the rest of my life will only be within the mansion. Like fish in a bowl, bird in a cage, unable to be free, and yet what crime did it commit? Thinking about his innocent, gentle and kind fiancé, Thibaut felt that if things continued like this, it would be a real loss for him. Initially, this engagement was decided by the elders of Duke Samantha, and since everything had come to this point, he did not want to give it all to Ethan to handle. Thibaut also had a different path in mind for her life. She was considering moving to another place to live. Somewhere she can fully express her abilities and live freely. Is there such a place? She spends a lot of time contemplating. Finally, Thibaut has found such a place, an ideal place to live her own life. That is the magic empire Saji. This is a small empire sandwiched between the large Galley Empire on the continent, an empire that resembles a city more than its name suggests. A place famous for accepting only a few people who can use magic as citizens of the empire, and never accepting anyone else. Actually, Thibaut can use her powers, but no one believes her, so she is called a fraud. Of course, this power is not divine but merely magical. Divine power and magical power both share a common trait: they use mana. Depending on the nature of mana, the wielder can move it according to their will. The only difference is that magical power is utilized through magical techniques, while divine power is not. But very few people can use mana. The inhabitants of this continent have almost no knowledge of magic or divine power. So in the original text, when Thibaut accidentally displays her magical powers, she believes it is divine power because she is a saint. Because she could use magical powers, she refused to believe she was not the real saint. But thanks to that, I learned. In the original, Thibaut mistakenly thought it was a divine power, so she secretly continued to explore and research. Heaven does not let down those who persevere. Finally, her hard work paid off, and Thibaut learned how to use magic like divine power. Even though Thibaut in the original had abused this ability to bully Daisy, and died without ever knowing his true power. But for her now, it is different. Now she knows this power well and understands its value. So since then, she has honed her magical powers according to the novel's content. Thibaut has continuously strived and learned. With her abilities, she is confident that she will be warmly welcomed by the Sagu Empire. Although those who come to the Empire Sage will be cut off from the outside and give up their status with their relationships. Thinking about it, someone like her, who is being thrown stones by everyone in the Empire and about to be kicked out of the family, is not this the best condition? She thinks this is truly a great plan. She has come up with the Ethan Lucian, fitting in the current situation. But at that time, Thibaut had not considered the possibility of being unjustly denied entry like this. While making her plans, she overlooked one important detail: the final condition for entering the Saji Empire. The provision is that all exiled persons should not be questioned regarding any criminal charges. Thibaut frowned in frustration, thinking to herself, I can't let this plan fail just because of a murder I have not even committed. I will use these very hands to catch that criminal. Relax. Just look at Ethan's face and calm down. Look at my handsome fiancé's face to heal. The conversation between Thibaut and Ethan continued. Once again, Ethan pulled her out of her chaotic thoughts and asked, "Will you catch the criminal? If there is really a culprit, letting me catch him is truly dangerous." This is a common concern, but there is something unusual in Ethan's eyes when she says this. Thibaut did not realize it and comforted him. "Ethan, you are worried about me, right?" Ethan smoothly replied, "Of course." Thibaut was deeply moved, thinking to himself that he was indeed a kind person. She continued with, "Ethan, you do not need to worry about that. I'm also good at swordsmanship, Ethan, but even then, it still does not stop me from worrying. No matter how skilled you are, you could still get hurt. Not only did I search alone, but I also had a lot of help. After all, I am a member of the Galley family." Worry still etched on Ethan's face. "You do not think they are all on your side? You were the one who said that in the last meeting." This time Thibaut felt a bit confused. "Did I really say that? I do not quite remember." Usually he does not say anything, just stays quiet and listens. So, he really paid attention to what I said, and he has a great memory. When Thibaut was lost in thought about how to justify moments like these, Ethan continued speaking. His words were full of psychological manipulation, suggesting that their deaths might just be a coincidence. Thibaut just laughed it off. If there was an incident every 2 days, it might be understandable, but with one happening every day like this, it is hard not to be suspicious. Ethan seemed to understand. "Oh, that is how it is." His face looked like he would learn something really useful. Thibaut continued speaking, but now her face had darkened. "So, you can't just put down this newspaper and start cursing. If you were not directly involved, of course, that would still be suspicious." "Wow, you are really kind, but Thibaut is showing her childish side to me now. Is not she? Honestly, I wish this newspaper company would just go bankrupt already." Then she crumpled the newspaper and threw it straight to the ground. Hearing Thibaut, Ethan's gentle laughter, she said, "I heard this newspaper owes a lot of money, and it might go bankrupt if things continue like this. A few days later, if you hear that the newspaper went bankrupt, it would not be too surprising." Thibaut was very surprised by this news, wondering what the situation was. Actually, this newspaper is also the one that harshly reported on the evil deeds of Monster Flower, and people rumored Thibaut was the one who bankrupted the press. But now I know it is really because it was deeply in debt. Even though I was quite annoyed that I did nothing yet still got rumors like that, discovering this was quite refreshing. Ethan told Thibaut, "That news seems quite interesting," she replied. "Of course it is interesting, it better go bankrupt." He smiled, but it seemed a bit sinister. He replied softly as if it had nothing to do with him. Ethan's face darkened. His words carried a deep meaning, just as Thibaut desired. Thibaut concluded the matter, "So now we just need to catch the criminal." "It seems a bit unjust to ask again. Are you really planning to catch the criminal?" Thibaut replied. "Have I ever joked about it?" Looking at the worried face of Ethan. Once again, Thibaut comforted him. "I know you are worried about me, but I must clear this accusation. Moreover, he has not killed many important people yet, but he will soon." Her expression became more serious. "Actually, this is the biggest issue. If we follow the current order, next time it will be young Master Lunette, son of Count Lunette, ever since his failed attempt to charm Thibaut and feeling insecure around Ethan, always picks a fight with her whenever they meet. But the real issue is not him, it is his father, Count Lunette. Count Lunette turned his back on her, and that is where all the problems began. Count Lunette is one of the leading figures standing up against the monsters at the border, and his influence is truly immense. The Galley family abandoned Thibaut, which was the main reason for her death. If young Master Lunette dies in this situation, the Count Lunette will turn his back on her before discovering the truth. If that happens, she will be cornered, and she can't let things go that way." With a sad puppy-like face, Ethan hesitantly asked Thibaut, "Then do not their deaths make you happy?" Thibaut did not hesitate to share her true feelings with Ethan. "To be honest, I feel happy too. I feel very comfortable," Ethan asked with a curious expression. "Ethan, can you tell me what the problem is?" "The problem is those arrows will come back to you. Everyone thinks you are the culprit. You are the one who caused those murders." Ethan said innocently, "It is really confusing, is not it? I thought everything had nothing to do with you." Thibaut explained, "It is probably because people die every day." Ethan's face suddenly looked as if he had just grasped a revolutionary idea. Every day?" "Ethan, it is every day that people die, that is the issue." Thibaut answered, "Yeah, dying every day like that is really suspicious. If it is an accident, it should only happen occasionally. That way it won't be connected to me." Darkness once again envelopes the face and tone of Ethan. "Ethan, then, if they die without any connection to me, I could be happy, right?" "Yes, you will feel more at ease." But why is he asking? Although I find Ethan's question quite strange, I did not pay much attention and still answered honestly. Compared to the satisfied expression, he said he would take note of this. Although not knowing what to note, Thibaut was still very cheerful. Seeing Ethan's cheerful face, Thibaut brushed aside his concerns. It is probably fine, it has been a while since Ethan was this happy. Ethan continued, but I still can't feel at ease letting you catch the criminal alone. I will catch the criminal with you. At this moment, Thibaut realized what Ethan had said earlier. It turns out he was pointing that out to help her. Thibaut happily thanked Ethan, unaware that today's relaxed thoughts were the beginning of all the problems. At that moment, Thibaut did not think for even a second. Thibaut had no doubts at all because to her, he was an incredibly kind and honest person. The biggest reason lies in Thibaut. She is really indifferent to those around her. Someone who is always surrounded by people, but he knows she is actually tired of all the attention. So she closed her eyes and covered her ears. Perhaps even she was not aware of it, Ethan thought to himself. And by then their meeting had come to an end. Thibaut stood up and greeted him. Ethan, I am very happy today. Holding her hand, Ethan said, if you are happy, I am happy too. Thank you for always treating me well. But right now Ethan is no longer happy because it is that expression again. A sad and lonely expression. What made you so sad? Ethan really wants to know why you always have that expression, and why sometimes she acts like she's going to leave forever. If she does not want to speak, he won't ask. And recently he has also figured out the reason. Just saw the carriage of Thibaut off. His expression changed completely to one of anger. Those damn things, how dare they touch my noble fiancé? Thinking back to the scene of dealing with that scum, those trashy types were too noisy even in death, always shouting, Duke, I was wrong, no, I was wrong. It was just a joke. If you want, I will personally apologize to the lady. They used to mock her whenever they could, and now it is disgusting to see them begging for mercy. Please have mercy on me, sir. If you spare me, I swear I will never show up in front of her again. Stepping into his carriage, Ethan told his close guard who was waiting for him, I should have killed him more painfully. The guard with green hair greeted him. You are back, Duke. His name is Law. He asked Ethan if the meeting was enjoyable. Close your eyes and answer. You are asking something too obvious. La said, that is right. These days you are very concerned about that because of your fiancé. If you have already started something, you have to handle many tasks. So are you going back to succeed in taking the title now? It seems gloomy replied. No, you seem less experienced than I thought. I still need to handle a few more issues. Law in distress replied, working overtime again today. Haha, what fun. Holding the newspaper in hand. The look on Ethan's face was full of murderous intent, like a demon. I have to go meet some people to collect debts. A few days later, the Harrington newspaper was exposed for colluding with the Minister of Foreign Affairs. All this is due to Harrington's massive debt. Reading the news in the paper, Thibaut learned that the editorial office had gone bankrupt recently. The maid of Thibaut spoke up. Are you talking about the Harrington publishing house? I am really surprised too. Thibaut felt the same way and silently sighed. Even though I thought it would be great if they went bankrupt, I did not expect it to happen. Ethan quickly. A major newspaper office went bankrupt in just one morning. Who knew the editor-in-chief was in so much gambling debt? There were rumors they were fine, but everyone was completely fooled. Do you know anything about it? The maid asked Thibaut. I heard that it is true. I just heard a little bit. Harrington owes a lot. The maid overthinks. Secrets among the nobles, huh? Seeing the strange expression on the maid's face, he guessed she must have misunderstood something again. The maid continued, you are about to meet Duke Ethan. This story is a bit strange. Thibaut felt uneasy, but it is okay. Her face blushed from lying. It is okay because today I met Ethan was my lie. But if she does not do that, she won't be allowed to go out. When it happened, her grandfather said, for now, stay out of the public eye. You know, public opinion is not in your favor. Ethan, for the time being, try not to go out too much. It will be better for you. Thibaut was banned from going out in the Monster Flower. Although it was not directly stated, she knew that someone rumored to be a murderer like herself going outside would bring nothing good. But there was one exception, and that was meeting with Ethan. I will let you meet your fiancé, but nothing else is allowed. Thibaut told him, next week I have a dinner date with Ethan. I will go and come back, okay? Just as you wish. But remember to bring your servant along. It may seem like Grandpa agreed easily, but in reality, having a servant is just a way to keep you under watch. Every move Thibaut makes is closely monitored. No matter how difficult it may be, she must go out that day because it is an important one. That was just today, the day the young master of Lunette died at the black market auction. Thibaut is determined to stop that at all costs. Since the meeting with Ethan 2 weeks ago, Thibaut has started gathering information to prevent the murder. She called Ethan and pointed to the ring on the newspaper. Is not this advertisement a bit strange? Ethan does not understand. What do you mean? She explained. This is the ring called Cat's Desire, a combination of letters unrelated to advertising. Ethan with a proposal to Thibaut. Can you decode it? This encryption is not too difficult. Then he kindly answered her questions, saying, if you write these letters together and break them down. The cursed ring seems to be the name of this product, as it cannot be advertised openly. Ethan, encryption is needed. This is an ad from the black market. The cursed ring, this must be the place where young Master Lunette was murdered in the original story. In the novel, young Master Lunette was killed by Thibaut during a black market auction. His death is described in great detail as it is the main event that leads to Thibaut's significant troubles. The black market is where the cursed ring becomes the prize. She won't kill young Master Lunette, but given the current situation, the murderer will appear at this auction. In the original text, Thibaut thought it was the right place to kill Lunette. Ethan thought there was no need to go there, so they decrypted it for themselves. I am really sorry. Upon arrival, it was a vast space with all the auction participants wearing hoods. Now the auction will begin. The fact that she could be here without the servant's supervision was because she had given the servant and the supervisor sleeping pills. Witnessing the scene, Thibaut thought this place was too peaceful to be a crime scene. Seeing Thibaut deep in thought, the person sitting next to her asked, "What is wrong, miss?" She calmly replied, "I feel like nothing will happen at all." "Normally that is the case," said Malin, the leader of the Zodiac gang. He continued, "In my opinion, nothing will happen today." The main female character in Flower Monster receives a lot of support, among which the most frequent support comes from Zodiac, an information society disguised as a coffee shop. In the original story, there was no connection between Thibaut and Zodiac. This position of a false saint comes with many dangers. Ethan, I needed power. Thibaut approached Zodiac before Daisy had a close relationship with Zodiac, and naturally she became the master of Zodiac. So now they are not Daisy's subordinates anymore but Thibaut's. The person on stage was still enthusiastically promoting the product. The product was a vessel containing the soul of mist, but Thibaut was not too interested and kept thinking. Knowing the original story but doing nothing about it is what is truly foolish. Malin knew all of Thibaut's plans because he was her assistant, and that is how she got the invitation to the black market. Malin seemed very interested in the auction program. He eagerly told Thibaut, "Miss, there is probably nothing special. You do not need to supervise anymore. Why do not you buy something?" But Ethan refused. "No, absolutely not." The lady herself was captivated by the magic book. Well, she was a bit distracted at the time and ended up spending 3 million gold to get it. Thibaut defended, "What other choice do we have? It is almost impossible to find any magic book within the empire. If even you do not notice, then what can we do? Our goal is not to buy goods anyway." Malin said, "I understand what you are saying, but I do not quite believe it. How could he kill someone in such a crowded auction house? Especially the son of a countess." Malin's words actually make sense. Normally, no one would kill someone in a place like this. But surprisingly, Thibaut in the original did exactly that. Holding a bag of money in his hand, Thibaut said, "Why would not you believe it?" Malin's eyes lit up and he quickly responded, "I will closely monitor it." Indeed, material data means consciousness. Holding the money in his hand, Malin was full of excitement. "So I will go to the place of the young Master Lunette to easily keep track. This place is a bit far. The final item has been put up for auction. Today will likely pass without anything special happening. The final item is the cursed ring of Manhwa. Everyone was buzzing about the ring. This was it, the cursed ring. The light from the ring shone directly into her eyes, making her squint, probably because of the lamp. Suddenly, a familiar voice called her name, "Thibaut." Thibaut immediately turned around and there was Ethan. She exclaimed in surprise, "Why are you here?" Ethan, on the other hand, calmly replied, "Yes, it is me. I did not expect to run into you here." Then Ethan calmly sat down next to her while Thibaut was still bewildered, wondering why he was there. She was in deep shock. How could she get caught by the person she least wanted to be found out by? Could it be that the cursed ring just needs to be in the same room to bring bad luck? She did not want to be seen as someone who frequents the black market. Ethan asked, "Maybe you came here secretly, right?" Still shaken from the earlier shock, Thibaut responded mechanically, "Yes, I have something I need to check." Then whispered in Ethan's ear, "Honestly, this is my first time at the black market." Then emphasized again, "It is true," while Ethan wondered why she had to whisper. So, even though Thibaut's whispering was hard to understand, Ethan still whispered back to her, saying he was happy to be with her for the first time. "Because it is my first time too. I felt a bit nervous, but seeing your familiar face calmed me down." At this moment, the image of Ethan in her mind was like an angel with pure white wings behind his back. Even if he said pigs could climb trees, she would still believe him. Although she was quite worried about being caught by Ethan, if it were him, he would probably keep quiet. More than anything, what she cares about most right now is Ethan's safety. "Why are you here?" This is a place where a murder could happen, you never know, so you might be in danger. Ethan hesitated to speak. It seemed like he was trying to find a reason for his presence here without making Thibaut suspicious. Did not you watch the ad for this auction last time? It is because you seemed interested in that ring, so I just... Enthusiastically making up stories. She has been facing a lot of trouble lately, so he wanted to give her a gift to comfort her. Perhaps he really did want to give her a gift, but not this ring. It could be something like someone's head, even though she was doing her best to prevent that. Thibaut was deeply moved, realizing that he came all the way here because of me, to give me a special gift. He always thinks about himself. How could he say that while I am not interested in the ring at all? I appreciate your concern for me, Ethan. But how did you find me so well without seeing my face? I heard your voice. I only heard your voice and found you already. When buying the agate pattern pants, we did argue a bit loudly, but you recognized me just from that. You are really good, Ethan. Ethan, taking the opportunity to express himself, no matter where you are, On can still find you. Thibaut began to respond indifferently. Anywhere. She was completely at a disadvantage before. Ethan. She asked, if you do not say anything, can he still find out? Ethan replied confidently, of course. 'Cause touching you feels so special. Thibaut was startled to realize she had been mesmerized by his whisper without even noticing. The auction was still going on. Ethan, she asked him to stop whispering. Wait a minute, auction. Since meeting Ethan, I have not paid attention to it anymore. Where's the missing price for Lunette? Is everything still okay? And when Thibaut realized it, the auction ended with the ring being bought for 320 million gold coin. The perpetrator's name will be targeted at this time. The moment is getting noisy, and this is the best time to avoid everyone's gaze. If everything goes as planned, I will stay until the situation ends, but if this keeps up, Ethan might get caught up in it. Ethan is still just taking it easy, while Thibaut heard that they are accepting gifts over there. Ethan came to this place because of her, the one engaged to him for political reasons. The two agreed to go together to receive the gift. Meanwhile, Thibaut was absolutely determined not to let Ethan get hurt. She had to protect him. Thibaut thought to herself, I do not want Ethan to be in danger, but I won't just let it stay that way forever. She signaled Malin. Follow and stop the killer. The two did not need to say a word, but Malin understood the order. He smirked. Why does his head hurt so much? She wants to stop the murderer, right? Just leave it to me, things like this. Malin thought so and immediately hid in the shadows. You can count on me, it is my specialty. Thibaut gave the task to Malin with complete confidence, knowing that once it was assigned to Malin, no further issues would arise. Now then. She suddenly looked at the young man standing next to her. Ethan had come all this way for her, so she would help him get out of here. Thibaut went out and did not return to the mansion until late at night. Exhausted, really exhausted. She leaned against the wall, exhausted, walking back to her room. I did not even do anything special. I should have gone back right away. A boring day for me, summarizing a day of just supervising a servant's nap, then secretly going to the black market, accidentally preventing a murder but unfortunately meeting my fiancé at the crime scene, then going on a date and returning home safely. Actually, I was planning to go home right away, but when he said that, how could I leave him behind? We had just met outside, and it would be a shame to split up now. Let us have a meal together. Thibaut did not know how to respond. Ethan, she decided to stay and have dessert. After a long day, Thibaut really wants to rest. She thinks about taking a shower and then going to sleep. Suddenly, she stopped because she heard a loud shout. Oh my God. Everything is because of Gali. Just the existence of the princess will ruin Gali's honor. Thibaut, hearing this, curiously peeked inside. It was really noisy. Looking closely at the people in the room, Thibaut immediately understood. She had wondered why it was so noisy. It seemed those people had come again. That person turned out to be the elder of the Gali clan. Thibaut began to recall details from the story. I bore the burden from them when I became the saintess. Since I was a child, I have endured countless assassination attempts. Although they did not treat me well. But for Etienne in the original, it is different. They are intermediaries helping Etienne integrate into Gali. Whenever Etienne faces difficulties, they lend her power from the family. Thibaut silently watched them argue, knowing full well what was going on. To uphold our honor, we must give them Gali for Etienne. She thought to herself, always having to carry the burden. Yet now she had become useless and was about to be kicked out, but her face remained cold, showing no emotion. I do not want to listen anymore. Thinking so, she decisively tore off the pearl bracelet on her wrist. The group heard a noise and suddenly stopped, looking toward the door. Ah, lady. Pearls dropped onto the ground with a clatter. Grandpa finally spoke. It seems my granddaughter has returned. He slammed his cane on the ground, sternly. Those who spoke up without knowing the time and place, even if the girl heard everything, there was nothing to say. He said in a threatening tone, "Get out of my mansion immediately." His eyes suddenly became terrifying, "Or else we will cut out your tongues." The group was shocked when they heard that, standing there in disbelief. They hurriedly left, stammering, it is late now, so we ask to return. I hope next time we get a clear answer." A person clicked their tongue in annoyance. Thibaut silently watched them leave, thinking to herself, what is next? Hopefully they won't show up for a while. Grandfather asked, "When did you come here?" Thibaut gracefully lifts her skirt. She bowed politely, "I am back, Grandpa." Grandpa hesitated, about to ask. But he immediately dismissed it. "No, it is too late now, where are you going?" Thibaut replied, "I have an appointment with Ethan because he wants to see me off, so I sent the carriage back first." She looked down at her wrist and said sadly, "Suddenly my bracelet broke, so I guess it interrupted everyone's conversation." But Grandpa did not blame her. "Anyway, I was planning to send them back." He hesitantly asked Thibaut, "You heard everything, including the recent stories?" Seeing the attitude of her grandfather, Thibaut sensed something very different, something truly new. She said to him, "Grandpa, you do not need to worry about me." But he immediately brushed it off. "No, it is not because I care about you, that is why." She sighed, "Oh, you have gone too far." He replied coldly, "So take a rest. In fact, he values family honor more than blood relatives. I know he is that kind of person." While the maids were helping Thibaut change clothes, she was still troubled, wondering why someone like that would not accept Etienne integrating with the family. "'Cause of what reason?" He had that expression again. Thibaut's mind is in turmoil. She keeps thinking about the past, even though she knows she has to let go of these feelings because I am leaving, but she can't help but hope. In those weary days, hearing those affectionate words. The day the teacher praised me with sincere words. Even on a birthday that she herself forgot. A small handmade pincushion from a servant. I was determined and expected the goodwill of everyone. If only young Master Lunette, who expressed those feelings, had not insulted me out of insecurity with Ethan. I wish my teachers did not always praise me just because they want a saintly student and the reputation that comes with it. I wish the maid had not given me that cushion, or that poisonous needle had not been stuck in it. So, things will be different. Thibaut, tormented by endless thoughts, lay exhausted on the bed, stopped thinking, as if drained of all strength. Her body was exhausted. She yawned but did not let herself fall asleep, could not sleep yet. It seems she still has a lot to do, like receiving reports from Malin about what happened, and reading magic books too. I still have to write a letter to Ethan, but before I could do anything, she fell asleep. Leave the letter unattended. She thought to herself, maybe skipping a day would not hurt. At the Savato residence, La asked, "Sir, may I ask why you keep staring at the paper?" Ethan, still holding the paper in his hand, anxiously said, "Nothing special. Every time she meets me, she writes a letter to say she is home, but today there is no contact." La was surprised. "So, was that piece of paper the news?" Actually, news is a magical item used by dividing it into separate sheets of paper. If someone writes their own news on one sheet, the same text will appear on all the other sheets. This is an expensive product, equivalent to the annual tax of a count, and can be considered a rare luxury item. But it still has one drawback: the lines of text written on that news will disappear after a day. She pointed at the paper, confused. "You wrote the letter with that? This is also my first time seeing it in person. I heard a single sheet is worth a diamond mine. Is this what you said you gave to Miss Thibaut?" Ethan, recalling the moment when I gave the news to Thibaut, I responded, "Yes," her expression at that time. At that moment, Thibaut was too shocked to say anything. She anxiously grabbed the paper, demanding a refund. "This has not been cut yet, right? It has not been touched, right? Refund it immediately, please." Ethan blushed like he was drunk, truly adorable. Ethan was lost in a trance when La interrupted, "Sir, anyway. If there is no news from the lady who always writes letters to let us know she is safe, it means she is asleep. So, what do you think when you see and hear me report first?" In the end, Ethan also listens to La. Ethan just listened first. La was overjoyed, took out a small box. "This is a wise choice. First, I bought the gift according to the order. The winning bid was 320 million gold pieces. And the goal, as you said, when I left the auction room, I was determined to kill him." At that moment, La spoke sternly, "But there was one person I did not expect. He controls shadows. As far as I know, there is only one person like that on the continent." Hearing that, he immediately guessed who the person was, the leader of the Zodiac gang. He would cover up the incident in the shadows. "Ethan, you could not step forward." La hesitated and replied, "Yes, I am sorry for disappointing you." But Ethan did not blame him and remained calm. "Alright, it is none other than the Zodiac gang leader. I know there is no other way. I do not understand why Bang Zodiac got involved in this, but I will look into it later. I have to kill the vermin that disturbed her, but I won't accept failure next time. That will be a lesson for others." Thibaut slept soundly and just woke up. When did I fall asleep? Just woke up. She immediately contacted Malin. "Malin, has young Master Lunette made it back alive?" Malin confidently said, "Of course, who am I? Besides, you were right. Someone is targeting young Master Lunette." He recounted the incident when I hid in the shadows and followed the target. He noticed and ran away. Judging by my sharp senses, he was not an ordinary person. Thibaut guessed, he seemed to be someone capable of seeing through the darkness. In fact, Malin can control darkness. Now, darkness not only refers to areas covered by shadows but also includes all types of darkness. This means very few people can defeat Malin in the dark. Thibaut continued, "If it is someone who can mobilize such capable people, then they will kill the target at any time. But Lunette does not seem very interested in this case, to be honest. I think it is better to let him die. The killer's behavior is quite new," Thibaut replied. "We know that." She was worried. Even after mobilizing Zodiac, they still could not catch the murderer, which meant the killer was likely someone more powerful than her. Feeling frustrated, he lamented to Lunette, "If only we could figure out the killer's motive, it would be so much better. Why does he keep killing people and then just leave?" Lunette guessed, "Could he be a fanatical admirer of the lady?" Thibaut smiled. "That answer is really innocent," Malin helplessly said. "Etienne is the protagonist of the prophecy. There is no one who is my fan. It would be much more believable to say that I am being accused and belittled." Suddenly, she heard a loud noise downstairs. "Sir, did not I tell you to go back already?" The noise was so loud even Lunette could hear it. "Hey miss, it seems like something's going on at your place again." Thibaut has a bad feeling. Curious to find out, Ethan, she told Lunette, "I will go check it out, be back in a bit." She was walking downstairs, thinking, what is going on? He won't usually speak up. Thibaut was stunned, unable to believe what his grandfather said. "Listen carefully, Lady Galli, in the past, present and future. Only Thibaut alone." She was confused, suddenly wondering why this was happening. Count Galli continued to persuade, "Sir, you must listen to me. Can the princess do anything to help the family now? You know very well, it seems you misunderstood something." But grandfather remained steadfast. "I never said I would not protect Miss Etienne. Since she comes from the distant Galli family, I will protect Etienne accordingly to that lineage." The count worried, "Sir, what kind of protection is that? Protection like that, what use is it? To protect the saint under the name Galli. Do you know the best way is to adopt her?" While Thibaut was secretly observing, grandfather sternly said, "Count Galli, the best way you mentioned is not there, Thibaut, the girl who lived her whole life being honored as the child of prophecy and a saint, but actually only found out about it a month ago. Just 1 month, and there are even rumors spreading that she killed someone. Do not you ever think about how she might be feeling now?" Thibaut was confused upon hearing that. Why would it be that way? He had never said a word of affection to me before, but now what is going on? He never cares about himself anyway. She thought to herself, even if he considers me now, I have already made my decision. I should not listen any further. Then she left. Suddenly she looked out the window. Looking back, the day Count Galli came to visit. It is also Etienne's first day in Galli, right? Since she arrived in this world, many things have changed compared to the original story. Something feels really strange. If it were the original story, she would be talking to Duke Galli right now. Why is everything happening like this? This makes Thibaut very confused. But she immediately found her way again. First, her goal is to leave the family, so should I help her? Thinking that, she immediately stepped out and knocked on the carriage door. "May I step out for a moment?" Thibaut smiled warmly at Etienne. "Let us chat for a bit." Etienne was a bit flustered. She did not expect the saint to take such an interest in her. Etienne has always admired the saint, she confessed. "Since I was a child, I have heard the story of the young Saint Galli. How could she be Ethan mature at such a young age? I heard she was the one who sug Etienne opening the temple's safe during the spring crisis. Etienne, you should grow up and become someone like that too. The saint is truly amazing. Someday I also want to be someone as wonderful as that. Since I was a child, the saint has been my idol. The first time I met the saint was at the hunting competition. At that place, a monster suddenly appeared. Roared. Scare everyone into a panic, shout at them, evacuate immediately. The monster roared too loud, so loud that I could not sleep. But no one paid attention to what it said. They always saw monsters as evil. Where's the knight? Why do not they just kill it? Only Etienne was brave enough to stand before the monster. No, it is just surprised that the lake is Ethan noisy. If this keeps up, even the saint here could be in danger. Seeing little Lady Etienne standing alone before the fierce monster, everyone was very worried, shouting loudly, it was extremely dangerous. But the lady gathered all her courage, embraced the huge beast, and calmed it down. No need to be afraid. Down. Everyone around was surprised. Look, Etienne has calmed it down. She did what even the saintess could not do. The lady tenderly stroked the beast like a small dog. People around saw this and started talking, thinking, is not Etienne a distant relative of the saint, which means she also has Galley blood running through her veins? Could it be that the child of the prophecy has changed, with such power? It would be strange if she were not a saint. Moreover, Lady Galley and Miss Etienne are the same age. I am sure the saint mentioned in the prophecy is Lady Etienne. Etienne, hearing this by chance, was puzzled. I was just trying to calm it down because I was afraid the saint might get hurt. She was extremely worried, wondering if she had troubled the saint. What should she do now? The saintess will probably get angry. But contrary to expectations, the gentle saint said, Etienne, you are amazing. Thanks to you, everyone's lives were saved. The saint spoke with such warmth, and since that day, Etienne has not seen the saint again, feeling deeply regretful. But now, Etienne has had her wish fulfilled. She could not hold back her emotions. She never expected to meet the saintess, let alone hold her hand. Thibaut gently held Etienne's hand and said, I will officially greet you again. She gracefully bowed in a royal manner, welcoming everyone to the Galley estate. Etienne was extremely excited but did not dare show it. Am I dreaming? She politely bowed to Thibaut. Thank you for welcoming me. Thibaut asked, it seems you have been in the carriage for a long time. Ethan, I came down to check. Are you waiting for your uncle? Etienne hesitated. Oh right, I was a bit worried because you were late, wondering if something happened. Thibaut covered her face in worry. Of course, if she says there is a problem, there probably is. Etienne was very confused. Yes, she thought, if the Holy Lady has to come down here herself, seems like a big issue. Suddenly, Thibaut grabbed Etienne's hand. Let us walk and talk about this, she said, which made the young girl very startled. The real-life saint was holding her hand. Then she eagerly led Etienne into the mansion. Trust me, Etienne, I will help you join the family. At the same time, in the central hall of the Duke's residence, grandfather had nearly settled matters with Count Gillet. For now, I won't do anything to threaten Phoebe's position, especially since she is still suspected of being the murderer. The girl needs a fence, that is this family, that is the granddaughter I have never treated well in my entire life. So now I won't, grandfather painfully confessed. There is something I have been trying to avoid because it reminds me of my late son. All I can do is raise her well so she won't be ashamed under the title of saintess. This started many years ago. The butler asked, have not you thought about talking to the lady yet? But grandfather coldly replied, fine. The girl just needs to see my face to burst into tears. Then handed the butler a piece of paper. Take this. It is the list of tutors I have selected. I have chosen the best teachers on this continent and let the girl live without envying others. She does not need people like me. As arranged by her grandfather, Thibaut has been learning many things with the best teachers since she was young. He could only helplessly watch the little girl from afar. All he could do was give orders in a stern voice. What child would ever like an old man as fierce as me? During a practice session, Thibaut injured her knee. It hurt so much. The maid hurried over, worried. I will go to the doctor to get medicine. Please tell the master. Thibaut heard this and replied coldly, no, do not tell my grandfather. He is very busy. He would not want to hear about the knees of a granddaughter he does not care about. Grandpa does not even know how to respond to those words. The girl says things like that. What kind of thoughts has she gone through to end up like this? My grandfather said to Count Gillet, though I have not been a good grandfather, I have no intention of hurting the girl any further. Thibaut is my only granddaughter. You are a father too, so you probably understand how I feel right now. The Count was hit right in the weak spot, unsure of how to respond to that. Forced to accept it. I understand if that is what you say. The Count had not finished speaking when suddenly, Thibaut burst in, dragging along Etienne. I am back, Grandpa. Seeing his granddaughter do that, the grandfather was stunned. Oh Lord. Why would she treat me like that? What is she thinking, Thibaut? I can't believe she brought Etienne in. I was almost done persuading this stubborn one. The Count Gillet was elated. Lady, hello, how did you come back with Etienne? Thibaut smiled cheerfully. Hello, Count Gillet. I went outside and saw a strange carriage, and it seemed like there was someone inside, so I intervened a little. It seems I was too rude, the Count quickly said to Thibaut. No, it is nothing, not at all. Etienne also wants to see the lady more. Is not it right, Etienne? Etienne was called out, looking confused and clueless. Seeing that, Thibaut took Etienne's hand. I enjoyed saying I spoke with Etienne on the way here, even about the reason you came to the mansion today. Count was overjoyed as if he had struck gold, but I still have not received permission from the Lord for Etienne to come here, leaving the old man devastated, collapsing. He immediately corrected himself, saying seriously, the Count is right, I still have not invited Lady Etienne to be a guest. Thibaut was annoyed, so what about Etienne? Do you mean to let her stay in the carriage under the scorching sun? The hospitality of the Galley tribe that I have learned is not that cruel, sir. He thought Thibaut did not understand and asked again, you are right, but in the current situation, do not you think bringing Miss Etienne into the Galley family has any meaning? Thibaut asked, you mean letting Etienne take the name Galley? He said sternly, aha, I have no intention of accepting. But Thibaut did not agree with this. You thought he would handle it wisely, so you did not say anything about it. But I am disappointed if you treat Etienne like that. Grandfather was shocked when he heard that. What did you say? Thibaut reminded, is not it better to confirm the protection of Etienne under the name Galley? Above all, I do not want many people to be troubled by this. Etienne is the child of prophecy, so she must be treated with the respect she deserves. He immediately explained, Thibaut, you do not know the consequences of what you are saying. But she remained determined, you know that. He wants to confirm once more, but you still want it that way. Thibaut affirmed, you are fine. Please make a reasonable decision. Her insistence is because she actually has no intention of staying in this family for long. She will run away. So whoever becomes an adopted daughter or a woman does not matter. The reason he did that was not because he cared about you. He probably did not want to be criticized for abandoning his own blood. He thought for a moment, then said, I got it. If Thibaut said so, I will give the name Galley to Miss Etienne. Hearing that, Count Galley and Thibaut were delighted, all right. But the joy was short-lived as the grandfather continued. Count, do not be too happy. The name Galley that I allow is de Galley. Thibaut and Count Gillet sprayed stiff hairspray. What are you talking about? De Galley is named Galley, but not a member of Galley. The serious grandfather said, we cannot allow more than this. Thibaut was worried, beyond his calculations. You are not going to keep Etienne out of this family, are you? Could it really be like this? Absolutely cannot let the case of Etienne being rejected happen. No way that is happening. The young lady Etienne is feeling very conflicted inside. If I become Galley, I will take away the position of the Duchess. Not long ago, Thibaut met privately with Etienne to talk. Etienne, you are a saint. It is time for you to enjoy the things that suit that position. Etienne hesitated and asked again, what about the princess? But Thibaut was not worried, calmly replied, I will also find a suitable place for myself. Do not worry about me. Etienne thought to herself, at that moment, I just felt excited about the position of a saintess. And I did not give a single thought to the lady's feelings. And she resolved, do not worry, princess, I will stand by your side now. Suddenly Thibaut left, I am leaving, just keep talking comfortably, she thought, now everything will go back to normal. Thibaut muttered to herself while walking, so I will also finish the remaining schedule. She saw the news on the table and suddenly remembered Ethan. She sat down on the chair. It seemed the letter she wrote this morning had been answered. There are not many cases where normal mana is used, so I can sense this mana very keenly. Feeling the memories of mana and sensing the emotions of the other person through the medium of exchange, paper is indeed convenient, but it is different from direct conversation. Through this letter, I can feel Ethan's emotions while writing it. She picked up the paper and read, Good morning, Thibaut, it seems you went to bed early, so I could not wait for the letter. I was worried, wondering if something had happened. I am glad you left your contact, even if it was just for a short time. She smiled, what is that, Ethan? He was waiting for my letter. He really is a kind person. Thibaut enjoys reading and feeling. Mana is filled with clear joy and relief because last night there was no contact. Ethan, he must have been worried, wondering if something had happened. There is still a lot of letters left. Thibaut slowly unrolls the scroll to read. Don't you have any thoughts about wanting the ring at the auction? The yellow diamond in the ring matches the color of your eyes, it is a perfect fit. Who knew? The more I read, the longer it got. It kept going. Why did he write about such trivial things? There are 2 pigeons sitting outside his window. She felt a bit guilty. She had written briefly to leave urgent contact information, but her message was still as long as usual. In the letter, Ethan also asked, do you remember there is a party at the Royal Palace the day after tomorrow? I have not heard anything about the dress code from Thibaut, so I wanted to ask in writing. If you leave a short message, I will check it right away. Reading up to this point, Thibaut suddenly realized, is it that day already? Without Ethan, there would not be a party like this. She grabbed the ink pen. I have to respond quickly. Carefully written, your dress code is sharp. Are eye colors and gemstone ring colors trending lately? Those two doves might be a married couple. Thibaut just finished writing when Ethan replied, sending a response right away. Sharp, it is a pity you are not very sensitive to these trends, so you can't give an accurate answer. Receiving the reply letter, Thibaut was very happy. Feeling a tingling sensation at the tip of his toes, it seems he was very pleased with that reply. She asked Ethan, have you got your sharp outfit ready yet? Even if you do not follow fashion trends, you still dress well. Responded immediately. There was a sword-shaped button made according to the Savati's seal. His outfit was not too bad. He thought the butler had chosen the outfit with a quick sense of fashion trends. Suddenly he stopped. The story about the pigeon couple seems boring, a more interesting topic. Thinking so, he wrote in the letter, the pigeon seemed a bit bored. Did anything happen today? Thibaut read those lines, giggled, so cute, and embarrassed too. She replied, Ethan, recently Saint Etienne came to my mansion also because of the party the day after tomorrow, so I wondered, can you ask if the party the day after tomorrow has anything to do with Lady Etienne? Thibaut answered, it is about Etienne getting protection from Gally. I guess it will be about something on that day. Ethan asked again, wondering if Etienne was hostile towards her. At this point, Thibaut hesitated a little. Is there any rumor about Etienne hating you? Respond right away. There is no rumor at all. I am just asking to understand how you are feeling during this time. But the doubts are completely justified. That is true. If you look from the outside, the relationship between me and Etienne is one of opposition. Not only are we bound together under the position of goddess, we are also tied to the same family. Etienne is truly kind-hearted. In the novel, her benevolence becomes the most crucial key to saving the world. Thibaut thought to herself, I have been struggling a bit with all the criticism out there, so it seems Ethan is also worried. I did not feel any particularly strong emotions from Ethan through manhwa. Then she wrote in the letter, thanks for taking care of me, but Etienne is a good person. But Ethan does not believe it because she is a good person. He reminded his fiancé, Thibaut, I have done what you said, but please remember that every betrayal comes with a smile. Thibaut immediately reassured him, Ethan, I understand what you are worried about, but you really do not need to worry so much, trust me. Ethan blushes, smiles, the saint truly has a generous heart. There is no other way, of course, Thibaut. I will clear every obstacle on your path. Ethan, you do not need to worry. Thinking that, Ethan calls La. La is cleaning weapons, responds, Day tells to go. So it seems the target has increased again. La wondered, besides young Master Lunette, who else? And do not forget to warn that if 2 people die in the palace, it will be easily discovered. Ethan explained, do not worry, this is not about killing the target this time. The leader of the Zodiac gang, the constellations, I have always been stubborn, but after learning that Etienne is related to Aquarius, a leader of the Zodiac gang, I can't let that gang off the hook. The smile was sinister, a villain's smile. My fiancé said that the new maiden was not dangerous, but I do not want to ignore those who threaten her. Zodiac, this will be my warning to Etienne. She will not die, but in exchange for her life, the cause of all murders will be brought to court. Actually, Zodiac is the only S-level information guild on the continent. The name is derived from the 12 Zodiac constellations, and their positions and names are also borrowed from those constellations. The leader of Zodiac is Aquarius, and the most powerful person in the guild. That is Cassiopeia, the constellation of Andromeda. And each of the 12 leaders will have a subordinate, named after a constellation. That is the issue here. One of the 12 leaders is the cousin of Etienne. Thibaut said Etienne is not dangerous. Just because she was born with a bit of luck, she could take everything away from Thibaut, which is already troubling enough. Now there is only Gally. Ethan told La that the previous conversation was enough to convince him. The very existence of Etienne is a threat to Thibaut. La, go and tell the butler to prepare a gift. Ethan said so while throwing the pile of documents into the furnace. 2 people, one mocks Thibaut by handling the target, the one who is also a threat disappears. Ethan sat on the chair, anxious, silent, as if this place is not for her and she can leave any time. Can she stay with me? While Thibaut was rushing to the meeting point with Ethan, Ethan was already waiting there. Lunette also went with her, mocking. He has been waiting for a while. He sneered, it has already been an hour since the meeting time. Thibaut fumed, running while yelling, shut up, I know, I will apologize. Suddenly Lunette slowed down. No matter what, I could not observe the target perfectly. You have to be one thing, my cousin might be in danger, so please watch over her. Thibaut did not think much and blurted out, fine, at least I will keep an eye on Etienne, and we will monitor the target. Hearing that, Lunette sternly asked, how do you know? This left Thibaut bewildered, huh? Lunette continued, I mean the truth about Aquarius's cousin being declared the new saint. Now Thibaut finally understood, oh my god. Lunette continued questioning, someone at Zodiac said that Thibaut stammered, no, it was not like that. Because the constellations always know more than we do. Lunette forced a smile. Are you trying to dodge this conversation with our slogan? Thibaut is still very confused, wondering how to explain. Lunette sighed, and it was then or now, she was never good at lying. He pretended not to know. Based on her reaction, it was clear no one had revealed anything. If it was not because of the gang, then it is fine. I will contact and report to you as usual. Thibaut quickly regained composure. Go ahead, Malin. Malin smiled. So I am leaving now, then suddenly vanished. Thibaut thought back to what had just happened, feeling uneasy. She had unconsciously revealed details from the character, not just this time. It seems the memories in the novel and the memories of a past life are blending together. As time goes by, memories of the past life have faded after a long time. The only clear thing is the memory of the world of monster flowers. It is like erasing all irrelevant information from this world. I need to pay more attention. Finally, Thibaut arrived at the meeting point with Ethan. Ethan happily greeted her. Thibaut, you made it. Saw Ethan, Thibaut panicked. Ran over and gently caressed Ethan's face. I am sorry I am late. You have been waiting a long time, have not you? Ah, look. Seeing that, Ethan hurriedly reassured her, it is okay. If it is Thibaut, even if I have to wait for a month, I would still be happy. Thibaut got angry and scolded. What are you saying? If I do not come, you should go. I am afraid it might happen, so I contacted you first, but you did not get into the carriage. Gently holding Thibaut's small hand. But if you wait, I will come. I will not abandon you. Seeing Ethan say that, Thibaut replied, of course. She tightly held his arm, won't leave him. Thibaut thought to herself, I am not lying. Even if breaking the engagement means cancelling the marriage contract, it does not mean the relationship between me and Sao will fall apart. If you have thought about leaving, you must end everything ruthlessly. But for Ethan you cannot. Especially when looking like this, seeing Thibaut staring at me, I wonder why are you looking at me like that? Thibaut cunningly replied, it is just that I find you very handsome. She then looked intently at her fiancé, hoping Ethan would live well, so I needed to leave quickly. If I stayed here, I would only cause trouble for him. Then anxiously looked down at his wrist, but it is time for Malin to reach out again. I have not seen young Master Lunette. I feel a bit uneasy, should I go alone to search? Suddenly, there was an announcement, the son of the Empire, the wise Emperor, Crown Prince Killian. Actually, he is just a lucky guy who unexpectedly became the Crown Prince due to the death of his brother, who was born to the Queen. Thibaut sighed in frustration, and is the male lead of this novel. Seeing him, she was annoyed, unable to believe she was seeing that face again. Even though others did not know, Thibaut knew the truth about Killian. Since childhood, she had seen his true nature. At that time, a friend asked him, why do you keep following the Saintess? And Crown Prince Killian calmly replied, there are many things I got from him. He has everything I need, his values have been skewed since he was young. The person standing there radiantly is Crown Prince Killian Lenro, the male lead of this novel. Thibaut frowned and thought to herself, I knew I would meet him here, but I did not expect to see this face again Ethan soon. Since we were young, we often met at parties and became childhood friends. Honestly, that time was quite fun. If Killian knew she was not a saint, maybe she would still be by my side. When I was young and naive, I often thought like that, but that day I heard Killian's true feelings. When Thibaut was a child, while playing, she realized she could not see Killian, but she heard his voice coming from the other side. She immediately went to that place, about to call out the prince's name. Hearing another kid surrounding Killian asking, why do you keep following the Saintess? Thibaut covered his mouth and stood behind the door, listening as someone mentioned his friend. She heard the Crown Prince telling his friend that there were many things to gain when playing with the Saintess. He is holding everything I need that day. Killian betrayed the trust that Thibaut had placed in him. Returning to the party, he was standing next to Etienne, the two main characters side by side, looking incredibly striking. Ethan and Thibaut, standing nearby, also heard someone asking Etienne if it was true that she saved everyone during the hunt. Everyone was praising her bravery. Ethan did not seem happy hearing those words, while Thibaut appeared indifferent, as if it was something she was used to. Wherever you go, people talk about Etienne. After the hunt, in high society you can hear stories about Etienne everywhere. But for some reason, Gali clung tightly to Etienne and did not take her outside. Curiosity about the saint grew larger and larger with no end, until he appeared and held the hand of the Crown Prince Killian. It was truly a perfect debut for the Saintess. At the same time, it was also an overly harsh action against Thibaut. Thinking that, Ethan called out to the person silently standing next to him. Thibaut, ah. Do you care or not? Thibaut heard Ethan asking and was a bit surprised. What do you mean? Ethan spoke again. You have been looking in that direction for a while now. Thibaut was startled, letting out a small gasp. She silently cursed herself, feeling a bit exposed from watching too intently. She smiled and replied to Ethan, I am fine. Are you uncomfortable being alone with me? Looking at the chaotic crowd over there, Thibaut thought to himself, even if they all ignore me, it is enough to compare here, maybe that is it. At this moment, Ethan said in a low voice, how could that be? I do not feel uncomfortable at all, as long as I am with you, anywhere is fine. Just as Ethan was about to say something romantic, Etta suddenly appeared between the two, her face beaming, saying, Milady, we meet here again. Thibaut startled Etienne, her eyes sparkling as she replied, yes, princess, you look beautiful today. Thibaut also complimented, saying the dress suits Etienne very well, Ethan. Why did the crown prince come all the way here? Julien gallantly replied from the side, today, my companion is Etienne. Ethan, if I am a gentleman, I must accompany her, right? Is there a problem, he asked, then bowed his head and kissed Etienne's hand. Thibaut, standing next to him, smiled but thought to himself, problems, there are plenty. The biggest issue among them is I do not want to talk to you. So she quickly turned to call her fiancé, Ethan, I am thirsty, could you go over there and get me some apple wine? Of course, he immediately went to get it for her. At this moment, Killian lowered his voice and asked Thibaut. It seems that Duke Savadou does not know the Emperor is allergic to apples. Thibaut responded in a low voice, yes, only you and I know this. The Emperor is allergic to apples, so no apples can be found anywhere in the palace. The atmosphere between the two changed in an instant. Killian smiled and thought to herself, even though she knew it well, she still asked the Duke to get the apple wine. She did not want her fiancé to see this scene that much, did she? The more I watch, the more interesting it gets. Etienne stared blankly at the two people facing each other, softly calling out, and the crown prince, the lady. Are you too close? Killian was delighted by the question. Of course we are, Thibaut replied irritably, not even a bit. Killian heard that and pretended to be sad, really sad. We have known each other since we were kids. Thibaut thought to himself, friends, you are the one who never thought Ethan. She said, if you only look at the time we spent together, it was not that long, and from that perspective it was not even a few years. She thought to herself, after I understood his true nature, I always avoided the crown prince, yet he did not care at all about my attitude. Sure enough, after hearing Thibaut's cold words, Killian cheerfully replied, building a castle within a few years is enough, to which Thibaut coldly responded, if it is enough, go build it yourself. Etienne stood beside him, admiringly saying, this is the first time I have seen the lady treat someone so straightforwardly. The two were really close. Thibaut was stunned. What exactly did she see? Killian quickly ethanoled his goods, wiped away his tears and said, that is right, Miss Etienne. Thibaut hates me very much. Thibaut nodded, just like the prince's people said. Etienne expressed her opinion again. So let us dance together to reconcile. Thibaut rolled her eyes. Why, Etienne innocently replied, why not? I heard some capitals now dance as a sign of friendship. Thibaut silently sighed. There is no such thing. Etienne eagerly pushed the two away and said, go, hurry back now, quickly. Thibaut, flustered, called out, Etienne, wait. Killian stood beside, smiling, and said, you really can't stop the saintess. Let us get in sync then. Thibaut responded coldly, it is funny, really. The two clueless people had already walked to the middle of the dance floor. Killian put his arm around Thibaut's waist. Then he said, Thibaut, turn that way. I only saw Thibaut's heel stomp on the crown prince's toe. She gave a smug smile. I know better than you do, Killian sighed. Still the same personality as ever, huh? Thibaut did not respond anymore. She glanced around, thinking to herself that she wanted to quickly get through all of this, as many eyes had been on her for a while now. If rejecting the crown prince in this situation, it will create rumors again. Thibaut gracefully walked forward while asking Killian ahead, your dancing skills are still the same, right? Killian also retorted, her tone as sharp as ever. And you still hate me just the same, he whispered to Thibaut. She immediately responded with a cold face. Tell me the truth, Killian. What are you planning to do by bringing Etienne here? Killian smiled. It seems you misunderstood something. Etienne Ilo wanted to find you on his own. Thibaut was a bit surprised and asked again, Missin? Killian nodded. She said she wanted to find you, so I just helped a little because she could not find you. If we can't find you, we wonder if we should go out. Thibaut nods, all right. So what exactly do you want? Killian smiled and replied, I am curious about your reaction. The music reached its climax. The two leaned back together in a poetic and romantic way. Killian said, more than anything because I miss you so much. Thibaut Louisa Galley, my unfortunate saint. Her legs made a sound as she stepped back. Make the kids surrounding Killian turn their heads and pay attention. The boy asked, was not that Saint Galley who just ran outside? Maybe he already heard it. Be careful with your words, or else the two children worriedly whispered to each other mean, while the boy Killian remained calm, smiling as he assessed them. The Kyo family is thriving thanks to their merchant status, and the eldest son of the Evergen family has been pledging loyalty to the royal family for generations. These are the people I will have control over in the future. Crown Prince reassured them it is okay. He is not the type to seek revenge over things like this. If you tell the adults, they will just ask me privately. Two kids sighed in relief, looking at Killian, not knowing that he was secretly plotting that to get them on his side. He needed to create a common enemy. And Thibaut, if it is him, he will understand. Superior memory and persistence compared to peers. And the boldness to do anything to achieve the goal. I have come this far by taking advantage of you. If you want, you can use me as much as you like. We all know each other's true image, right? But now, after seeing the sad face of Thibaut, Killian was stunned. What, that expression? The boy thought Thibaut would not hold a grudge after hearing those words, and everything went wrong with his plan. Back at the current party, everyone around is staring at Killian and Thibaut. Killian, with an embarrassed look, said, Thibaut, this is the first time I have realized how badly you dance. Thibaut scoffed. Don't you think that is too rude to say to a lady? Crown Prince Killian. Killian asked again, why do not you go see your fiancé? His eyes seem ready to burn. Thibaut frowned. Do not say such funny things. Do you think you are like him? Killian raised his chin. It is true. If you do not believe me, just look. Look, he said as he wrapped his arm around Thibaut's waist and lifted her up. Thibaut glanced over at Ethan. Ethan only showed a sad expression as if to say, Thibaut, come back soon. Thibaut angrily confronted Killian. No way, are you lying to me? Killian was at a loss for words in front of Ethan's sudden change of expression. He thought to himself, indeed, knowing nothing at all, looking like that but not seeing. No wonder he could sense the killing intent. Killian did not care much. He spun Thibaut around and smiled. I really miss you. There is not a day that goes by without me hearing your name. A new saint has appeared, and there is even a rumor that she is a killer. Thibaut was a bit surprised and asked, has the rumor spread this far already? She stepped forward, wanting to get back at Killian by stepping on his foot again. But this time, Killian was experienced, Thibaut noticed. Dodged, but no, if two keeps going like this, he will fall. Luckily, Killian reached out to hold her back. His voice low as he reminded her to be careful. If you make a mistake here, there will be rumors that you intend to assassinate the crown prince. Thibaut smiled coldly and replied, too bad. It would have been so much better if it was not the first love. At this moment, Killian suddenly said, rumors accusing you of murder are spreading more and more. I know you do not usually do that. She was stunned, thinking to herself. He knows it is not my doing. What exactly does he mean? Two people had finished the dance. Killian looked at her sincerely and said, if you need help, just come to me. Then he turned away. Thibaut stood there confused. If you need help, just ask. So that is what he meant. If I do not want to become a criminal, do I have to kneel in front of him? But how can Killian be sure he is not the murderer? Maybe Killian is the real culprit. It is possible. In the original work, Killian often kills for some purpose or causes trouble for others just for fun. If Killian is really the culprit, then I am like falling into a tiger's den. If Lunette gets killed in this tricky situation, and if Malin is captured, no one will believe I am innocent. My plan will also collapse, so will I. Etienne does not know what Thibaut is thinking, but she admires them greatly and says, that is amazing, both of you dance so well. Ethan also stepped forward and gently said, I have seen you dance, we always dance together so I never realized, but from the perspective of a viewer I think it is even more amazing. Thibaut's face looks very bad at this moment, but she still tries to smile and says thank you to Ethan. She quietly sighs, feeling like she can't breathe at all. At this moment, Ethan handed the red drink to Thibaut. Here. I did not find the apple wine you mentioned, but you looked thirsty, so I got you a refreshing drink instead. Thibaut accepted the glass of wine, thinking to herself, if I put anything in my mouth right now, I might throw up, but if I refuse, it would ignore Ethan's sincerity. Just at that moment, someone came over, picked up the glass and said to Thibaut, apologies, I moved a little and felt a burning sensation in my throat. How do you feel about giving me this cup? The person who just spoke was none other than Crown Prince Killian. Thibaut startled, Killian, huh? Not sure what he is thinking, but I should greet him first. She smiled and asked Ethan, it is all good, right? Ethan smiled gently as usual, of course. Thibaut was slightly surprised to realize, even if just for a moment, the expression on Ethan's face just now. The stone on Thibaut's bracelet suddenly lit up, and she quickly turned to avoid it, realizing it was a message from Malin. Molo's raspy voice came through, second floor rooftop. Thibaut was surprised to hear Mal-on's voice. Clearly, something had happened, so she turned around and called the server standing not far away. Thibaut hurriedly told herself she had to leave immediately, and Etienne also noticed something unusual about Thibaut over there. Thibaut turned to everyone and said, "It looks like my friend is looking for me, I will go first." Ethan was a bit curious, who could that be? Thibaut tried to stay calm and replied, "Just a little, I won't talk for long, just a little." Etienne worriedly said, "The ladies, you do not look Ethan well." Etienne wanted to hold Thibaut's hand, but Thibaut instinctively pushed it away. She was in a hurry, turned around without saying anything. Just told the three of them one thing, "I will be back soon." Because she was very worried about Malin, Thibaut brushed off Etienne's hand, then left in a hurry without saying another word. Etienne glanced in the direction Thibaut went, silently worried. "My lady." The murmurs arose again when they saw the scene over here. Oh, Miss Etienne treated her so well, yet still. So the rumors are true, the rumors that the fake saint is a murderer. Even without revealing anything, if she is not a fraud, then who is? Etienne felt sad and blamed herself, thinking that because of her, the princess was misunderstood. What should she do now? The princess has always treated me well. It is clear that something awkward has happened. Just thinking that, Etienne did not turn around and said, "I will follow the princess." Killian was startled, wait, but Etienne had already gone far away. Crown Prince could only mumble on the spot, "I told you to wait." Thibaut was in a hurry, rushing up to the second floor rooftop. She worriedly thought, if it was an emergency contact, things might not be going well. The more I delay, the more danger Malin will be in. Malin always returned to normal no matter the mission, and I thought this time would be the same. I was too confident. "Please be safe," she shouted, calling out the name Malin. At that moment, a hand from behind suddenly covered Thibaut's mouth. So it was Malin. He pulled Thibaut to a dark corner nearby and whispered, "Stay quiet, it might still be around here." Thibaut saw his appearance and immediately turned pale. "Malin, oh my God." The wound, Malin weakly smiled. He could not hold on any longer and fell into Thibaut's arms. "I knew she would come." Thibaut was scared and confused. This was not due to an injury. His body is being swallowed by darkness. Darkness, this parasitic monster draws blood from its host in exchange for power, but if careless, it could devour you. Its very power can become your weakness. I have to purify with medicine or remove the monster, but if there is too much bleeding, I can't take it out. If the bleeding continues, Ma will be in danger. So there is only one last way, the healing spell, but there is not much time left to reach the temple. Malin could not hold on much longer. He shut his eyes tightly and kept letting out cries of pain. Thibaut unconsciously bit her lower lip. She firmly stood up, as if she had made a decision. She took the key out of the lock with no other choice. From now on, no one can know what happened. Thibaut pulled the curtains. She thought to herself, "This is my first time trying. Ethan, I do not know if it will work, just hoping it will succeed." Satamelit, Centaur, Coat, Aquarius, Delta, Capricorn. "Answer me," Thibaut said coldly. The 12 zodiac signs can bestow blessings, and books on divine power and magical strength all begin with that phrase. Since the 12 zodiac signs are considered the sun's path linked to the earth, those who use the power of the constellations are none other than the power of the gods and mana. Therefore, until now, I have always studied the method of concretizing mana, training to harness the power of the constellations. Moreover, people believe in the existence of the mana attribute. Although I can only handle 6 constellations, each constellation related to a specific attribute, I can also wield magic like divine power. Ethan, I can ignore the attributes of mana and handle all 12 constellations, which means I can manage all mana. Thibaut thought to herself, "Lucky me, I learned how to use the constellations last time. Ethan, I can use them right away." Indeed, at this moment, Thibaut had entered another space. A strange voice echoed, "Young lady. What made her try to call us like that?" Thibaut cheered excitedly in his heart. "It is a success." She quickly told them, "Please help me, my friend is in danger." Aquarius, in the form of a child, glanced at Thibaut and said, "Its mana is still not enough, how foolish." Thibaut was not weak at all but firmly replied, "I really am a foolishly arrogant person, but I really need it." "Since I do not know any other way," Aquarius shook his head, "Arrogant, no, that is not it. It is said that there are 3 ways to unlock the powers of the 12 constellations, borrowing a part of the constellation's strength. Descend to Earth, allowing the constellations to inhabit the human body for a moment. Summon the constellations, Ethan, they can use their power. The way Thibaut is planning to do it is the hardest summoning method among the three. Difficult because the constellation might refuse to assist the fighter. At this moment, Capricorn in the form of a goat gave a cold smile and said, clearly, a child who has not thoroughly read the demon magic book. Sorry, but I am not very interested in children. Who knew Capricorn would unexpectedly hear Thibaut say, if you are not going to help, then please disappear. If you do not help, I will call another constellation. Thibaut quietly calculated this was a chess game and there was no other way. Capricorn asked Thibaut in surprise, is not your magical power too overwhelming now? Thibaut replied sternly, my friend is about to die out there, I will save him at any cost. Hearing that answer, Capricorn smirked. Indeed, not an ordinary child, truly bold. Alright, I am very satisfied, it would be a shame to turn down this body. I am Delta Capricorn. I will answer the summoner's call. Thibaut beamed with joy as Capricorn reached out to him. She quietly cheered, alright, thanks to that I successfully summoned it. At this moment, a different voice sounded behind Thibaut, full of sincerity. I really like people like that. I will help her. That person is Capricorn. Aquarius at that time also tugged at a corner of Thibaut's dress. It awkwardly said, silly, but I do not hate you. Thibaut was overjoyed. Aquarius. The harvest exceeded expectations. At this moment, the three others asked, so what should we do? Thibaut smiled and said to them, don't worry, I will have you do what you do best. On this side, Ethan stood somewhat worried at the door, thinking Thibaut has been gone for a long time. A voice rang out, searching for trouble. Duke, this attitude is not very good. Ethan coldly replied, what does it have to do with you? Killian smirked, who would have thought that after Thibaut left, you would be like this? Ethan replied coldly, too bad, we have met more than once or twice. Killian asked deeply, is that all? Thibaut meets you once a week, but probably does not know you are like this. Ethan coldly glanced at Killian, silently cursing, truly a bad person. He remembers now when he went to get water for Thibaut and returned to the hall. He saw her dancing with Killian, along with a not Ethan-friendly tone. If you warn me like that, I understand. Don't hover around me anymore, Ethan. Killian calmly responded, quite cold indeed, does your fiancé know? Thibaut snorted coldly, probably because he did not know, as I only act this way with you. Her words made Ethan care a lot. He thought to himself, Thibaut always seemed friendly in front of everyone. But in front of the crown prince, she suddenly became unexpectedly honest. I was really jealous of that. You also got out of this mindset. As the tension between the two men started to rise, a voice interrupted them. Ethan, sorry man, it is really late. Thibaut hurriedly came this way. Upon seeing her, Ethan immediately changed his expression. His eyes softened as he called Thibaut. This attitude also surprised Killian, while Thibaut, unaware of what was happening, kept talking to Ethan, repeatedly apologizing. Killian pursed her lips, slightly regretful, thinking, just a little more pressure would have been enough. There is no way he would not follow Thibaut in that situation, clearly hiding something. At that moment, Ethan was smiling gently and asked Thibaut, it is fun talking with friends, right? Thibaut smiled and replied, of course, I am also about to be hated for being late as promised. In fact, she was thinking, what friends? Just saving a friend who is about to die. 10 minutes ago, when receiving the help from the constellations, Thibaut began to assign tasks. I will give you what you do best. Sagittarius said, but hey, your mana is running out. Capricorn nodded, if this keeps up, the summoning spell will end before it even helps you. Thibaut confidently said, if that is the case, I have a way. There is a lot of mana in the air. If you filter your own mana for a purpose. Do not worry about ghosts anymore, we have to move. Among the 12 zodiac signs, Aquarius has the strongest healing ability and will be responsible for treating Malin. Aquarius got to work right away, starting to channel energy for healing. I could sense a faint life force, but it was still possible to save. Next, the best defensive archer will protect young Master Lunette. He followed Lunette and attacked the hidden assassin Law. The cool Sagittarius said, I won't let your blessing disappear. Thibaut ordered, and the sheep could use his magic in many ways. So move Malin to the car and protect him. The goat, though slightly displeased, still complied. Using my body as a guard, that is really arrogant. At this moment, Aquarius stepped forward and said to Thibaut, leave this to us here. You are in a tricky situation now, are not you? It is being transmitted through mana. Ethan, go quickly. So Thibaut is here now, relieved, thinking that he can finally return, but he consumed too much mana, after all, summoning 3 constellations. At this moment Killian asked, "But what about Thibaut, Etienne?" Thibaut tilted her head and asked, "Etienne, what about you? Haven't you always been here? I do not see her." Ethan beside her spoke up. "No, right when you left she followed you, did not you notice?" Thibaut was stunned. "She followed you, she seemed a bit worried while summoning the constellation. I could not look around. Sometimes we have to meet Etienne directly to know for sure." Ethan moved up said, "Thibaut said she did not see it, but since your highness is her companion, you should go find it." Killian did not back down, coldly asking, "Duke, it seems I was just talking to Thibaut." In fact, Thibaut did not think Ethan would do that, because it is a bit disrespectful to the crown prince. Who would have thought? Ethan at this moment showed a worried expression and said, "Your highness, if you feel it was rude, I apologize," seeing Thibaut looking tired. "I interrupted the conversation. I have been impolite to the crown prince." Ethan felt wronged. Thibaut put her hands on her hips and argued with Killian. "What are you saying? Ethan is just concerned about me as my fiancé." "Killian, why are you treating Ethan like this?" Killian was speechless, quickly turning cold, and in a chilly tone said, "I am in a bit of a bad mood today. Ethan, it seems I have taken it out on the Duke." Seeing him standing there with a clouded expression, Thibaut cautiously said to Ethan, "It is better if we leave quickly." "Why does he seem?" Ethan upset. She comforted herself that she would find Etienne anyway, and then she could talk to her. She quickly turned around and announced, "We are leaving now. You should go find Miss Etienne. It is quite impolite to let your companion walk alone." Killian provocatively asked, "Leaving already? I thought you had something to say to me." Thibaut replied irritably, "Stop fantasizing, Dad." "Ethan, let us go." Ethan politely extended his hand and offered, "I will take you all the way to the mansion." Thibaut also extended her hand and agreed. "Ethan, I will rely on you," she thought to herself. "Normally I would refuse. But the carriage I came in today. They have taken Malin away. Perhaps they have arrived by now. No idea how Malin is doing outside." There were already subordinates waiting by the carriage. Seeing the two approaching, they immediately said to Ethan, "Duke, you are back early." Ethan asked in a low voice, "La, is there anything special?" La bowed politely and replied, "How could there be anything? It is like a dove crying at night." Ethan Lan gently advised, "I see you have worked hard, let us set off." But Thibaut, not knowing what he saw, showed a surprised expression. La as usual bowed respectfully. "I understand." Thibaut was coldly staring at him, wondering what was going on. "That wound." Ethan, she noticed LA's bandaged hand, and it was a fresh wound. After being taken back to the mansion, Thibaut walked up the stairs, still thinking about that event. She frowned, recalling something suspicious. Earlier, when Thibaut noticed LA's injured hand, she asked suspiciously, "Hey, is your hand hurt?" La immediately hid his hand behind his back and responded with a forced smile, "Oh, it is nothing special. Sometimes I spar with the Duke. Last time I got hurt because of my mistake." Thibaut did not want to make a fuss. She pretended to be worried and said, "I see, be careful." La scratched his head. "Princess, you do not need to worry." Thibaut remained silent but kept looking at LA's hand hidden behind his back. Because from what she saw, it was clear the bandage was wet, just like a wound that had been inflicted not too long ago. "Is it because of my mood?" Walking and thinking, unconsciously, Thibaut had already returned to her room. Seeing a few constellations already in the room, Thibaut put aside his doubts and stepped forward to ask Aquarius, "How is Malin doing?" Aquarius replied softly, "It is stable now, should wake up soon." At this moment, Sagittarius also said, "I confirm that young Master Lunette has returned home safely." Capricorn grumbled, "This body has not even used an 80th of its strength yet." Thibaut bowed respectfully, "You have worked hard." "Thank you, everyone." Aquarius smiled. It had been a long time since she came to the human world. It was really fun. Capricorn reminded her, "Next time make sure to find this body again. I will show you something amazing," and then the two quickly vanished. Thibaut asked the person standing still, "Centaur, why are not you moving? What are you doing?" The centaur, now serious, replied, "You assign me the task of guarding and reporting any suspicious individuals." As she said, someone approached Lunateta. Thibaut frowned and urgently asked Sagittarius, "Did you see his face?" Sagittarius replied in a deep voice, "I could not see his face because he ran too fast. The only thing I saw was, there is a scar on his right hand." Upon hearing this, Thibaut's face immediately turned pale. "Wait a minute," thinking it over, LA's right hand has a wound. Could it really be just a coincidence? The centaur left a while ago, but Thibaut was still standing there, lost in thought for a long time. After a while, Malin lay on the hospital bed and slowly opened his eyes. He sat up slowly, rubbing his slightly aching head, mumbling, "Where is this place?" Thibaut sat at the table studying books without turning her face and asked, "Are you sober yet?" Malot immediately wondered, miss, this place. Thibaut stood up from the chair, smiled, and introduced. This is my room. Since you were not conscious, I brought you here. Malot, a bit surprised, clicked his tongue. Not sure what he suddenly remembered. His eyes widened as he shouted, that is it. This is the ladies' room. Can I even enter a place like this? Hearing him raise his voice, Thibaut quickly tensed up and reminded. Shoo, lower your voice, what is the big deal? This is an emergency after all. How's your body doing? Malin looked around, thinking back, all the wounds are gone, and the shadow monsters are quiet. In the end, how did you do it? Thibaut honestly told Malin. I borrowed the power of the constellations. Since this is my first time summoning, it felt like a game of chess, but in the end it worked out. What about you? You followed Etienne and Little Master Lunette, did not you? Malot coldly recalled the situation at that time. I was ambushed, and although I did not know how he did it, he could pinpoint my exact location in the dark. I felt like he was not just glancing. It was as if he was looking right through me. If it were not for that, I would not have had to run away. It is really shameful. Seeing Malin blame himself, Thibaut sat down next to him to comfort him. Do not say that, you have tried your best already. Malot shook his head. No, miss, I almost could not protect the target. Malin, a person who always succeeds in every task, said that. Thibaut was stunned. But she quickly regained her composure, touched his face, and said, Malin, the important thing is your life. You did not lose that important thing, so there is nothing to be ashamed of. Malin was so moved that he almost cried, his eyes sparkling as he spoke to Thibaut. But doing so would make protecting the target harder in the future. Thibaut shook his head, but that is not necessarily a bad situation. He not only saw the shadow but also figured out a way to destroy you, which means he knew you would follow young Master Lunette today. Ethan, that means. Malin also realized when Thibaut mentioned it, that the person I met before and the one who ambushed us this time are the same. Thibaut nodded in satisfaction. That is right. And if we guessed right, his goal is not to kill you. Malot asked again. Miss, do you think so too? Maybe he planned to kill someone and frame her, which is why he attacked me to prevent my escape. If according to the perpetrator's plan, just thinking about it gives me chills. Thibaut replied sternly. That is it, she secretly feared. The culprit had planned more meticulously than she thought. At this moment, Malin spoke up, drawing Thibaut's attention further. Summoning the constellation is not that great, is it? I should have checked it out. The forbidden books on divine power and mana that I gave you are very useful, are not they? Looking at Malon's excited face, Thibaut could not help but laugh, teasingly asking, is it really that hard for the guild leader to get such information? Malon confidently pounded his chest. Who do you think I am? Thibaut shattered Malon's daydream. But the truth is, it was thanks to the magic book we bought at the auction that I was able to summon it. Malin is deceitful, but that does not matter. Isn't it more important that I helped the lady anyway? It was great. No temple can heal like this. Malin is now incredibly healthy, standing up and buttoning his shirt. Thibaut smiled gently. Even with borrowed powers, not everyone has the same abilities. Comparing them, descending to the mortal realm is stronger than borrowing, and summoning is even stronger than descending. Malin asked curiously, so summoning is really difficult, right? Thibaut nodded in agreement. That is correct. The grimoire must resonate strongly with the constellations, and the consumption required is significant, so it is challenging, but we see that everything is fine. Thibaut has the ability to harmonize with manhwa, so that is why she believes she is the saintess in the temple. In the end, it was just her illusion. Actually, in the novel she was also very pitiful. Malin now stood up neatly, stroked his chin, and asked Thibaut, so does that mean the lady can also use divine power? Thibaut nodded. Yes, she can. Malin heard that and said seriously, so according to the prophecy, it is the child from Gali, right? The young lady has the right conditions and high mana compatibility. And she can also use divine power. How about calling you the saint? Thibaut was initially surprised but quickly adjusted. She found it incredibly funny, laughing as she asked Malin, what did I say that made you mistake me for a saint? Malin stared blankly and responded, do not laugh, I was really serious about that. Thibaut asked a question that left Malin speechless. So how do you explain Etienne? Malin hesitated. That. Seeing you hold your forehead, Thibaut did not want to make things difficult and thought silently. Actually, it can be seen that way. But Etienne has special abilities that I do not have. And only a true saintess. How should I put it? Someone like her. In Thibaut's mind appeared the image of a very powerful Etienne from the novel. She became even more certain of her thoughts. Only she had the power to save this world. Soon, this empire will be engulfed by monsters born from forbidden experiments. With their immense power, the empire is defenseless and seems to face annihilation. Saint Etienne possesses divine strength and communicates with monsters. She tames monsters and creates an army to destroy them and... Wait, then what? Thibaut struggled to recall. Because it has been a long time since I watched it, I do not quite remember the ending. Well, since she is the main character, eliminating them should not be a problem. Malin crossed his arms and continued. Ethan, what is the next plan? We need to catch the culprit quickly. Thibaut sternly cleared his throat and said, actually, I suspect Ethan's followers. According to the centaur, the culprit's palm was pierced by his arrow, and Ethan's attendant had an identical wound in the same spot. Malin was shocked to hear that. Really, does that mean? You mean the Duke Ethan is the real culprit? Remembering the gentle face of Ethan, both became hesitant, looking at each other, wondering that. Thibaut sighed, it is really unbelievable. Ha, Malin bowed his head and replied, but it is not impossible, the Duke really likes the lady. Perhaps he only wants to deal with those who threaten the young lady. Thibaut smiled gently. Malin, I know what you are saying, but he is my fiancé. Ethan always trusts me, so I do not want to judge too quickly. Malin also knew that, scratched his head awkwardly and replied, I know, then let us just wait a bit longer. He thought to himself, she only shows weakness in front of her fiancé. At this moment, the scene shifts to a pitch-black room. A cold voice echoes, so, you lost your target, not only did you make a mistake. How should I accept this ridiculous outcome when the plan also failed? La, with a cold expression, questioned his guard. La, now bowing his head in shame, replied, I intended to handle it as you said. But after leaving the Zodiac leader on the brink of death, I went to deal with young Master Lunette, only to find he had disappeared. Ethan heard this and seemed incredulous. The dying person had vanished. La lowered his head and replied, yes, that is right. Ethan silently looked at him without saying a word, quietly considering, La could not possibly be lying. If it were La, that high-profile name could not have slipped away. But the one about to die suddenly vanished. A third person appeared and helped him. Ethan ordered in a deep voice, for now, be careful until your hand fully heals, go on. La bowed deeply in gratitude and said, thank you for your generosity. Then he turned and left the room. The room grew dark and quiet. Ethan began thinking about what had just happened, unexpectedly struggling to handle the final target. I want to end this perfectly. He took out a small box from his pocket and murmured softly, finally, I could not give it today. He is holding a box containing a sparkling, beautiful ring. The cursed ring of Marite C. This ring was something I found at the black market while dealing with young Master Lunette. It has a very intriguing story. A story about killing the one I love with my own hands. If the curse is true, she will be by my side. In that final moment, I hope those eyes will always look toward me. I wished for that from the very first meeting. A few years ago at the residence of Duke Savadro, that is the house of Ethan, a voice rang out, sir, what do you mean? The butler tried to explain, the young Duke has social anxiety. You should build a relationship and not abandon the boy. The woman refused to answer, and the boy said he did not like people. It is just a child. This woman is the head of the Savado family, Beniza Amon Savado. She sternly told the butler, do not push the boy too hard. The butler replied indignantly, forced what? Isn't it all for the little Duke? The owner bowed her head as a mother, I know what is good for the boy, moreover, do not you know that when he grows up, he will treat everyone more easily? When she said that, she covered her mouth and coughed. The boy Ethan, standing outside, heard everything, silently worrying about his mother. The head of the family, who was his mother, could not foresee the future due to a congenital illness. The family had only one young heir left. This is a good opportunity for the petty nobles who only care about their own interests. Although he did not say anything, the young Duke was very concerned about the health of the head of the family. The butler returned to Ethan's room, looked at him with concern, and thought, I know the master plans to control the young Duke by marrying him off, so it is no surprise the young Duke is afraid of people. The butler walked over to Ethan and softly asked him, young master, is not it too uncomfortable to always stay indoors? Ethan looked a little puzzled, yes. The butler smiled and said to him, I heard that today the Saintess Galliare will come to the temple. What do you think about going there? Everyone's eyes are on that girl. If not, you could go sightseeing instead. The butler thought to himself, this is not such a bad place for the young master. At least he should leave this place, so at this moment, he stood quietly, confused, wondering what he should do. I do not really want to go out, but the butler genuinely cares about me, so I will follow his advice. And then you obediently nodded, yes, I understand. A moment later, Ethan arrived at the temple, looked around in confusion, and exclaimed, Ethan, there are so many people at the temple. Was it the saintess who came here? At that moment, two girls passed by, curiously asking, "Hey, why do not you have anything in your hands? Didn't you receive a sacred item from the temple?" Ethan, puzzled, asked back, "A sacred item?" The girl nodded while chewing bread. "Yeah, if you eat this, your body will be purified and blessed by God." Ethan was surprised to hear that, the body will be purified. If you eat that, your health might recover. So he went to the front of the church, hesitantly spoke to the man over there. Can I receive the holy relic?" The man took out the cake and said to him, "Of course, I have prepared many holy relics at the temple." Ethan happily accepted it and politely said, "Thank you." He thought to himself, "If only my mother could have come with me, that would have been wonderful. I will give this to her when I get home." Who would have thought that at this moment, the man shattered Ethan's dream? "But you can't take this out, okay? Since you did not eat here but took it to go, it is no different from stealing and eating raw. So make sure to eat here before leaving, got it?" Ethan could not look at the man, absent-mindedly replied, "Yes." Seeing others eating the sacred item, he instinctively hid it behind his back. "Yes," he answered awkwardly. Right after the man stopped paying attention to Ethan, he quickly turned and ran away. Ethan, feeling incredibly tense, held the cake close to his chest, thinking anxiously, "I have stolen something, but as long as I have this, Mom will get better." Who would have thought that at this moment, Thibaut walked out of the room, passing right in front of Ethan. Two people bumped into each other, and the cake in Ethan's hand fell to the ground. Thibaut raised her hand to cover one cheek, softly exclaiming, "You Ida." Then the girl picked up the cake that Ethan had dropped, lowered her voice, and asked him, "Is this a sacred object?" Ethan, caught off guard, hesitated that. Thibaut, with a cold expression, said, "You can't take this outside. What are you trying to do?" Thibaut told the boy, "You can't take this outside. How did you manage to bring it all the way here?" Discovered by others, Ethan, stressed out, quietly thought, "It is over. Because I was caught taking the sacred relic outside. The temple might hold my family responsible if my mother hears about me stealing. She might be very disappointed in me. If so, Mom will hate me." Thinking about it, Ethan could not hold back the tears and started ethanbing, admitting her mistake to Thibaut. "I was wrong." Thibaut was stunned. Are you crying?" Ethan cried pitifully, tears falling as she pleaded with Thibaut, "Please do not tell the adults, do not say anything, please." Thibaut nodded repeatedly, "I won't say anything. Ethan, do not cry anymore. If you make noise, you will be easier to disconnect. Keep your voice down." Ethan heard that and looked up, disconnected. Thibaut scratched his head playfully and said, "Well, I ran away." Ethan, surprised, asked, "Then won't you get scolded?" Thibaut calmly replied, "No worries, everyone thinks I am weak, so I am just resting for a bit." Ethan lowered his head and continued, "But that is a lie. If discovered, everyone will be disappointed in you." Thibaut remained silent and looked at the boy. After a few seconds she responded, "So what?" The answer left Ethan stunned. He looked up. Thibaut reached out to him, smiling brightly, and said, "If others' expectations cause you pain, you do not have to meet them. The most important person to you is not anyone else. Don't worry, as long as no one finds out. It will be troublesome if adults find out." Ethan heard this and remained silent, reflecting on it. "The most important thing to me is that, up until now, no one has ever said that to me. When my father passed away and my mother was debilitated by illness, everyone placed all their expectations on a young duke, suffocating me, and now it feels like I have been enlightened by Thibaut. But I do not need to meet those expectations, this kindness. I just need to avoid getting caught." Only then did I remember the story of the saintess that I had heard before coming here. "A few hours ago, while sitting in the carriage, the butler asked you if you had heard about the extraordinary Saint Galli. Everyone was surprised because she was much more mature than her peers." Hearing that, Ethan was a bit impressed. Really, at that moment he connected it with the girl in front of him. "Ethan, that is how it was. This person is Saint Galli." Thibaut Lauja, at this moment, picked up the loaf of bread that had fallen to the ground and quietly wondered what to do with it. He had secretly taken it outside but no longer felt like eating. The girl handed it to Ethan, "Just take it for now." Ethan took the loaf of bread, looking sad, thinking, "I was going to give this to my mom, so I can't eat it." Thibaut noticed the regretful expression, slightly concerned, thinking, "Is he really that hungry?" That is when she put her hands on her hips and said, "I am a little bored, but everything's fine now." She told herself, stealing a little like that should be okay. Look how nervous he is. Thibaut confidently assured Ethan that everything that happened was because of me, and I will take responsibility. A moment later, Thibaut brought Ethan a mountain of bread. The question made him extremely confused. He brought so much, so he hesitantly asked, "If I receive this much, will it be okay?" Thibaut smiled and waved. It is okay, it is just bread. No, it is something sacred, so there's plenty of it. At this moment, a voice came from the other side. Where are you, Saintess? Thibaut turned around quickly and said, I have to go now, remember our meeting is a secret. Ethan stood still, watching Thibaut's figure leave, silently calling out, Saint. At some point, could we meet again? The childhood story of the two of us just temporarily comes to an end. At this moment inside the room, the maid gasped, Heavens! Lady, is there something good happening? Why are you smiling at the bread? Thibaut asked while looking at the loaf of bread. I went to the temple because I am in a time of need for help. So she remembered the childhood incident too. Thibaut wondered, is that boy still okay? These things remind me of the boy I met when I was young. The maid nodded in agreement. I often took my siblings to eat this too. I think they even said this was a sacred item that could not be taken outside, right? The temple often organizes regular relief events to win the hearts of the people, and what is distributed at that time is bread. So that is why they call it a sacred object, but of course it is not really sacred, it is just bread. Calling it a sacred object is just a lie to prevent theft. That priest is really stingy. He asked the maid again, Emily, why is the mansion so unusually quiet today? Did something happen? The maid suddenly became flustered, avoiding Thibaut's gaze. That Thibaut sensed it immediately. Hiding something from me. I promised to keep the secret, so go ahead and tell me, the maid replied awkwardly. Although the master told me not to say anything, since you insist, I will reveal it. But it is really a secret. Thibaut was a bit surprised when she heard that. The maid hesitated before revealing, actually. The day she returned from the royal banquet, the elders came here regarding the Saintess's household registration. The host was furious about it. He even drew his sword and chased the elders away. I won't allow the Etienners to be naturalized no matter what happens, he said. Thibaut listened, feeling confused and thinking to herself, what does this mean? Since last time, I still can't understand why Este was not granted citizenship. She raised her hand to her forehead, wondering, why do you keep holding on to that decision, as if you care about me? The maid heard this and asked back, how could I not care? It is just a misunderstanding. The master may seem cold, but he always cares about the young lady. At that moment, the angry voice of the landlord echoed from the opposite room. It makes no sense at all. Thibaut turned her head in confusion. It is him. She slowly walked toward the room on the other side. Inside the room, her grandfather angrily slammed his hand on the table, saying, Lady Galley is being humiliated with such things, yet nothing can be found. From now on, you will investigate under the name Galley. No matter what, you must uncover the truth behind these fatal accidents. Thibaut is my only granddaughter, and I will do everything to protect her. Thibaut was a bit skeptical, standing outside, pondering. He had said so. Although I am no longer a saint, even the charge of murder affects the family. In the end, why is that? Did you do it because you need me more than the family of Etienne? Even though I cannot predict his actions, using the family to protect me is just a temporary measure. I can't just sit still like this. I have to step up and find out who the real culprit is. Inside the magnificent castle, Crown Prince Killian held a cup of hot tea in his hand, smiling as he asked the person across from him, Ethan, what is the reason you came to see me? Thibaut replied coldly, Killian, just say it directly. It was not you who provoked me at the party because you wanted me to come to you. Killian covered her mouth and laughed, her face full of interest as she replied, because you are easily provoked. The former saint of ours is scheming something. Thibaut still maintained a cold attitude and said, why should I trust you and reveal my entire plan? For all I know, you could be the real culprit. Killian was startled and asked, is that your final conclusion after 10 days of thinking? Maybe I am the culprit, so you are going to rush in, grab my collar and demand an explanation. Thibaut took a sip of water, then calmly replied, I am almost certain, a lofty identity that I could not trace. His personality is also the type that could create such a situation. Killian smiled with interest. What? Thibaut remained calm and continued speaking. Moreover, if I become weakened, you will gain a lot, so answer me. Are you the real culprit behind those cases or not? Thibaut sat directly in front of Killian and bluntly asked, you are the real culprit in those cases, are not you? Killian was so surprised that he burst out laughing. You really think I am the culprit? Thibaut calmly nodded. That is right, Killian. You are the most likely suspect. Killian first widened his eyes, speechless, then threw his head back and laughed loudly, looking at the indifferent woman in front of him. He sneered and wondered, Thibaut, I have been by your side longer than anyone, yet now you think I am the culprit. We have been together for a long time, and there is an extremely clear bond. There is only one reason to doubt myself. Killian frowned deeply. An image appeared in his mind. It was Samantha. He must have deceived Thibaut with his cunning words. 3 years ago that bastard showed up and changed everything. Killian recalled that beautiful morning. He dressed nicely, approached Thibaut, and proposed. Every emperor in history has had a political spouse. Thibaut, we hope to become the Galley family, he said as he gently placed a kiss on Thibaut's hand. Take your time to respond, just think about whether we can be together or not. Thibaut remained silent and did not respond, but after a long time I still had no answer. After belatedly receiving her engagement news, I realized that I had been abandoned by Thibaut. So this is why even in this situation you did not come to find me just like before. Is she abandoning me again? Thibaut, Killian gritted his teeth tightly. After a moment of reflection, he quickly regained his composure and said sternly, I know how ambitious you are, I know how much effort you have put into everything. There is no reason you would ruin your life just out of jealousy toward those victims. Because I know you very well, I am sure you are not the real culprit. Moreover, the important thing is not whether I am the culprit or not, right? Thibaut asked coldly. So what is important then? Killian bluntly exposed her. You can't discover the truth on your own with just your own strength. How can you stay still when things like this happen? Even if you do not directly take action, you will still try to shake off all the accusations behind it. But even now I still have not caught the culprit, meaning this is beyond my ability. TB, although not responding, had to acknowledge Killian's ability to assess the situation. It was indeed sharp and quick. She did not deny it but admitted right away, yes, and the Galley family also can't solve this problem, she thought. Now let us get to the main issue. Thibaut looked serious and continued. So I need the help you mentioned earlier. Killian, help me. Killian looked surprised when he heard Thibaut say that. After 2 seconds, he quickly revealed a sinister smile. He smiled mockingly and said, You have lived this long just to see the day you bow to me. Of course I have to help. This is Thibaut's request, after all, not anyone else's. Thibaut silently looked at him, thinking to herself, fine, go ahead and keep laughing like that. This is a trap to catch criminals. If you do not want to get directly involved in the fight, the ones stepping in are mercenaries. The person I decide to involve in this battle must have a higher status than me with strong influence. Whether I win or lose, they will benefit. And only Killian fits those criteria. The Empire's biggest festival will be held annually. It is called the National Founding Festival. The founding ceremony was organized by the Crown Prince, important figures gathered here, and the Saintess personally climbed to the peak of the Holy Land to observe the torch-lighting ritual. I will take advantage of this National Foundation Day event. If Killian is truly the culprit, I will gather evidence through this event. If Killian is not the culprit, I can still use him to find the real one. Only then can I catch the culprit. But if this plan fails and I am seen as the real culprit, Killian will be the one to handle me, the one considered a criminal just like in the original story, and because of that his status will be elevated. Thinking of this, Thibaut chuckled smugly, looking at Killian like a monkey he had caged. He had nothing left to lose, so he bet that Killian would take the bait. But Killian was easier to deceive than he had thought. At this moment, Killian also smiled and said to Thibaut, I have something to ask first. Does your fiancé believe you are innocent? Thibaut crossed her arms and replied, of course he does. What do you think Ethan means? Killian gave a cold smile. Did not you say that? The reason I doubt it is because they have a higher status than me and believe I am innocent. So if Ethan is also a potential suspect. Upon hearing this, Thibaut turned coldly to Killian. Stop it, he is my fiancé. How far are you planning to insult him? Killian stroked his chin and asked Thibaut, why do not you have any doubts? The person who always trusted you like that, do not you wonder why he never showed up in the case? Thibaut calmly replied, I am just his fiancé, so he has no obligation to stand up for me, someone who does not belong to the Savates family. Although he said that, Thibaut was still thinking about those words. Killian's point of view was very valid. Up until now, I have only suspected his guard. I never truly considered Ethan to be the culprit. For me, Ethan is the person who is always by my side, even in my most exhausting moments. Always Ethan, gentle and warm, smiling sincerely whenever you see me. Thibaut tried to remind herself that she could not just doubt others so easily. She spoke up, I do not want to doubt Ethan right now. Killian sat across, smiling mindlessly and said, for someone as suspicious as me, that statement is quite sad. Thibaut replied impatiently, if you feel wronged, just live kindly like Ethan does. Even though she smiled, Killian silently sighed, unable to believe it. She did not doubt the Duke at all. That looks really ugly, Samantha. Even though it is unclear what sweet words he used to charm Thibaut, she does not need an escort. What she needs is someone powerful who can share ambitions together. So the right person is me, not Ethan, who will fulfill Thibaut's ambition. A bastard who does not have what she wants yet takes the place of my fiancé. As a friend before becoming the one to fulfill the ambition for Thibaut, if someone unsuitable keeps hovering around her like that, I first need to separate them. After thinking it over, Killian smiled his usual cheeky smile and said to Thibaut, I will help you as I promised before. I will help you on one condition. Actually, before coming here, Thibaut already knew he would set a condition, so he was mentally prepared to fight, folded his arms, and asked, sure, what do you want? Who would have thought that Killian's answer would make Thibaut pale? He said, Samantha, cancel the engagement with him. My condition is just that. Thibaut suddenly stood up and asked, are you out of your mind? Why on earth would that be the condition? The rights to exploit and do business in the East for the galley. Family, even requesting Ethanaldiers would be more beneficial for you. What do you gain if I cancel the engagement? Killian smiled mysteriously. Let us see, I hate seeing you bound by Samantha. Thibaut looked at him with great curiosity, wondering what Killian was really up to. Sitting on the carriage ride back, Thibaut gazed into the distance, thinking about breaking the engagement with Ethan. She told herself she was going to flee to another empire anyway, so she planned to do it someday. Why did they end up setting that condition? Even though I do not know what his purpose is to get his cooperation, I have to follow exactly as he says. There is no other way, right? Can only meet the condition. Even if he stays by my side, being rumored as a murderer will harm Ethan's reputation. The sooner the engagement is called off, the better it will be for him. When Thibaut was absent-mindedly walking down, someone approached her and asked, the mansion is so noisy, where have you been? Thibaut saw the person's face and was surprised. Why was he here? The man is Count Nobel, the leader among the elders of Galley. Count Nobel is the count who firmly wanted Etienne to naturalize in the original story. He was the one who contributed to the expulsion. Thibaut. He came here personally, so it must be related to Etienne. After all, he is an elder. Thibaut bowed and said, I went to the royal palace with that carriage for some business. Did something happen while I was away? Count Nobel gritted his teeth. The whole nation was buzzing about the princess, yet here you are leisurely going out. Oh right, it is really nice that you are still young. It can't be the reason she caused a nationwide stir, can it? Thibaut immediately knew he was trying to mock her. She replied in a sharp tone, Count, you are praising me a bit too much. I really admire my grandfather's spirit and learn from him. I will stay away from stupid, greedy, and arrogant people. Count Nobel turned purple with rage and shouted, Lady, are you insulting me? Thibaut smiled calmly, saying there was no such thing. I am just talking about some people in the nobility who refuse to set an example. The Count knows she is mocking him, but there is nothing he can do. Looking at her giggling in front of him, he could only curse silently. What an arrogant little girl. Thibaut, standing opposite, also realized. She could clearly see his thoughts. Let us put that aside for now, Nobel continued. The princess has no idea what is going on right now. Etienne Iller, it is trying to assert itself as not a saint. Thibaut was surprised to hear that. Etienne knew. Nobel continued. It not only refused to naturalize but also rejected the baptism ceremony. How could it suddenly become like this? There must have been an argument between the two at the party. How will the princess handle this situation? Actually, Thibaut is also extremely curious. Why does Etienne keep insisting she is not a saint at this point? She should have already become a citizen and accepted that she is a saint. Is it possible that, at the party that day, she followed me and saw me summoning the constellations? If that is the case, I understand why she would think I am a saint and why she would insist that. She is not a saint herself. But if she keeps refusing to accept herself as a saint, Etienne will not be able to awaken her divine power before the disaster arrives. Etienne was born with a natural inability to harmonize with mana, so through the baptism ritual, she was able to enhance her mana compatibility. To face the impending disaster, Etienne's strength is essential. Thinking this, Thibaut turned to his servant and said, Get ready to head to the ILO residence right now. We must go directly to Miss Etienne. Nobel, startled, asked, What, you are going there directly now? The princess still does not know the current situation. The entire country is calling her a rare villainess, so even if she steps forward, it will only make public opinion worse. Thibaut confidently responded, That is why I want to take the lead. Nobel questioned again, Why, what is the reason? Thibaut stood under the bright moonlight, speaking sternly, Because I am the center of the issue. So I am the one who will put an end to this issue. Otherwise people will just keep talking about it. If you understand, I will go now. Just then a voice interrupted them. Thibaut, stop right there. Both of them turned to look in that direction. This voice, could it be? Thibaut's grandfather appeared, sternly saying, I do not allow you to meet Este Iller. Thibaut was extremely surprised, grandfather. Nobel obediently bowed his head before his grandfather Thibaut. The head of the family had arrived. It seemed the princess had decided to take action. Is she aware that she is the heir of Gali? Grandfather showed no respect, cutting off Nobel's suggestion. Count, go back. I do not want to be interrupted when talking to my granddaughter. Seeing his cold eyes, Nobel could not help but shudder. He thought to himself, recently I heard rumors that the master was taking advantage of the princess, but the usually indifferent master sided with that girl like that. Now it is better for me to leave. Nobel bowed his head like a good puppy. I made a mistake, sir. The two kept talking comfortably, so Nobel quickly left. After he left, the atmosphere fell into an eerie silence. Grandpa spoke first. Seems like you have a lot to say to me, so go ahead and speak. Thibaut, after hearing what he said, directly asked, do you also think I threatened Etienne? Grandfather, as usual, responded coldly to her. It does not matter. Even if you move anywhere, they will tear you apart. In times like this, you should not give them anything else. If you go there now, the malicious rumors will spread even further. Thibaut replied sternly, if you go there now, the malicious rumors will spread even more. I will personally meet and persuade Miss Etienne. If Etienne agrees to the baptism ceremony, the rumors around me will disappear, Thibaut said with a deeply earnest expression. Grandfather, after listening, calmly asked, so what if you can't convince them? If we let you go like this, what will the consequences be? Therefore, I won't allow you to go outside. My answer is the same, he said, then turned and walked toward the mansion. Actually, the grandfather had his own concerns. He walked while thinking that too much time had passed for him to call himself the girl's guardian, but Thibaut was facing many dangers, and what I could do in this situation. It is hiding Thibaut under the protection of the family. He did not know at that moment. Thibaut stood there with a very grim expression. When grandfather thought everything was over, he heard Thibaut ask, why? Grandfather turned around in surprise. What did you say? Thibaut asked indignantly, why are you covering for him now? Those rumors are nothing compared to when I was a kid, the times when I was so miserable and exhausted that I could not bear it. Beside me there is no one. Thibaut, looking utterly lonely, stood under the night sky, voicing the feelings she is buried for Ethan Long. Thibaut asked his grandfather, I do not understand why you protected me like that, even until now. He never cared about you, she said sadly. Thibaut recalls, from the very beginning, I did not entirely disbelieve him. This happened before Etienne appeared. A servant assassinated the saint, and Thibaut was poisoned, suffering unbearable agony. She was taken away, and he also apprehended all the other corrupt servants. But in the end, he never came to my bedside to visit me. Someone like that, even if they treat me well now. The days he always turned his back on me kept coming one after another, and I began to doubt his sincerity. After hearing Thibaut say those words, his grandfather stood still without saying anything. After a few seconds, he said in a low voice, I understand why you are angry with me, but if you step forward now, the family won't be able to protect you. Thibaut interrupted him, if that is the case, it would have been better if you had done it a little earlier. She turned away, feeling sad and thinking to herself, if that were the case, I would not have considered leaving this place. Julien naturally asked me to call off the engagement. Then Etienne said she was not a saint, and suddenly he started protecting her. Everything just kept happening one after another. It is not that I can't guess anything, the reason is that I am not Thibaut in the original version of the Monster Flower. In the Monster Flower, Thibaut committed countless evil deeds. So Killian and her grandfather turned their backs on her. When I was young, he caught me throwing eggs at the carriage, so he knew my true character. It seems that since then our relationship has changed, maybe because of my actions that he also gradually changed. It is not that I did not understand. But why does it have to be now? When I was little, part of me always thought about going somewhere far away, while the other part considered staying here. Because I time traveled, the events of the novel won't be normal, right? Thinking that, Thibaut had been very excited after all. Even after Etienne appears, I might still be able to live as Lady Gali. So I won't be hated by anyone. I used to think that if I lived a clean life, everything would be fine. Grandfather and Killian. A strange grandfather who never reached out to me. A friend turned their back on me at the moment I trusted them the most. Because of their actions. My decision to leave here is final. I thought I had forgotten everything, but whenever I think about that day, I get restless. Everything started 3 years ago. The day the Crown Prince was conferred a title. Thibaut was there, quietly thinking, I knew Killian would become the crown prince. This looks really fresh. That day, Killian also smiled gently at Thibaut, in that crucial moment. Thibaut thought to herself, after all, is it that I feel Killian is closer or not? Because the day before in the garden, Killian gently placed a kiss on Thibaut's hand and said, every emperor has a political partner. Thibaut, we hope that is the Galley family. Back to the day Killian took office, she thought to herself, the position of queen that Killian had offered her. She came here today to give him the answer. If it is Killian, then even if she later finds out she is not a saint, still be by my side, someone who looks at me with all their heart, not as a saint. If there is such a person by my side, it does not matter if I never leave this place. If he hears the answer, he will smile and say, I knew it. He will act as if today is lucky. However, as Thibaut walked down the hallway, she once again overheard people whispering about her, saying that the prince had a special relationship with Lady Galley. The woman glanced over and asked, does your highness really care about her? Pink Hair scoffed, isn't it because she is the saint? He married her only for the sake of national interests. If her value drops, the prince's affection will also decrease. Did not know that Thibaut had been standing outside, hearing everything. She silently mocked herself, the situation was just like that time. When I was little, I was Ethan, surprised that I could not say a word and just ran away. But I am not a kid anymore. Thibaut confidently stepped in, hands on hips, and asked the pink-haired one, can you tell me more about that? The two people turned pale when they heard that. Princess, this has nothing to do with you. Thibaut coldly looked at the two people. There is no such thing. Your faces are close to His Highness, I remember very well. The Velcro clan of the board of directors, and the eldest son of the Eugene family. Both of them are the prince's closest confidants. Because those words came from people like that, they can't be taken lightly. Marquis Eugene, please convey my message to Killian. If your highness sees me as a tool, we will never be together. After Thibaut left, brown-haired anxiously paced back and forth, gritting his teeth and asking, what should we do now? If the emperor finds out about this, pink-haired calmly smirks, yes, we just need to stay silent. Just pretend this never happened. The sky outside has turned dark. Killian sat alone waiting for Thibaut, worried and thinking, Thibaut is too late, since she showed up at the ennoblement ceremony. I thought she would give me an answer, should I wait longer? You do not know that because of a meaningless misunderstanding caused by those two idiots, Thibaut is now shattered, sitting in her room, and you will never get an answer from her. After that day, knowing she had been betrayed by Killian, Thibaut also did not leave the mansion. One day, she received some information from Malin. The communication device, disguised as a bracelet with a sparkling blue stone, emitted a familiar sound, miss. She just going to stay home like this? Malin does not seem able to keep watching Thibaut's spirit sink like this. Thibaut just wraps herself in a blanket and sits on the bed all day without going anywhere. I am tired of everything for now, I won't see anyone. You know that, Thibaut told Malin in a lifeless tone. Hearing Thibaut say that, Malin had no other choice. He could only sigh heavily. If her spirit is like that, I have no other way, he said. Suddenly, something popped into Malin's mind, and he said to Thibaut, come to think of it. I heard your fiancé is going to the capital, you knew that, right? Malin said it casually, but it left Thibaut utterly surprised. The boredom on Thibaut's face vanished, instantly replaced by shock. What? The news struck like a bolt of lightning. She planned to stay home for a while to heal. But unexpectedly, her fiancé arrived at this moment. Though she was feeling sad and disappointed from a sense of betrayal, she still had to pull herself together to welcome her fiancé. Ethan, the fiancé chosen by the Galley family, had been on the battlefield constantly. Ethan, the two had not been able to meet. Even though this is a character who greatly admires Thibaut in the original, I still need to be cautious because this is our first direct meeting. During the first encounter with Ethan, Thibaut was in a really bad mood and was also very cautious. Lady, as Thibaut was reminding herself to stay strong, a hurried call echoed from outside. A tall man with a handsome face, his golden hair shining like sunlight now disheveled from haste. His eyes the color of the sky full of regret. He panted and said, sorry, he probably had to run here to make it on time for their appointment. You are late because you rushed too much so you could not control the volume of your voice. It was a bit loud, which made Thibaut widen her eyes in surprise. She probably did not expect her fiancé to come see her like this. I spoke a little too loudly, realizing my volume was a bit excessive, so I quickly shut my mouth. In my haste and embarrassment, he seemed to hold his breath, making his face flush bright red, which looked incredibly cute. Seeing him like that for the first time caught Thibaut completely by surprise, and she could not help but burst out laughing. Ethan's adorable appearance looked quite amusing. Maybe that is why Thibaut also let her guard down, forgetting all the frustration, weariness, and disappointment from being betrayed that had been building up in her for so long. Thibaut smiled and reassured him, "I just got here too." That smile looked incredibly relieved. Seeing Thibaut smile so happily, Ethan calmed down. He is also very happy and honored to be able to make her laugh like that. The meeting that Thibaut reluctantly had to attend made her think to herself, "This is great. At first, I came here only out of duty, but these two people strangely fit together." Thibaut unexpectedly realized that the more they talked, the more his innocent demeanor made her feel at ease. The conversation with Ethan was different from the exhausting talks with other nobles. Meeting Ethan made me feel a lot more relieved. Her gentle and affectionate behavior really helped her a lot at that time. Looking back at the current situation after much thought, whenever I feel tired, the person who always comforts me is Ethan. He always makes me feel peaceful and relaxed. I really miss him, miss the feeling of being with him. Even though it is a bit late now, should I leave a message on the news page? Missing you has urged Thibaut to talk to Ethan. So Thibaut looked towards the news, and surprisingly it was glowing, signaling that there was mail waiting. Thibaut left the letter behind, feeling both happy and surprised. She picked up the news, sensing a deep connection between them. Just that alone lifted her spirits significantly. Ethan's message is a whisper of love, Thibaut, because I miss you so much. That is why I am writing this letter. After dinner I drank tea, so suddenly I remember you. We drank this tea the first day we met. Thibaut also responded to the letter immediately. I was also remembering the first day we met. 3 years ago, the first time I went to the capital. Do you remember? Even though I was working when I received Thibaut's reply, I put everything aside. There was no work. What is more important than your fiancé? Replying to Thibaut's letter must be the top priority. Ethan does not miss any opportunity to express his feelings and say sweet words of love to Thibaut. He never forgets any time spent with you. Seeing Ethan responds immediately when the message was sent, Thibaut thought to himself that he must be free and exclaimed about this wonderful, wonderful coincidence. Right at the time she was chatting with him to heal the mixed emotions inside. We rented a cafe on the outskirts of the capital to meet. The time was about 3 o'clock. The inside of the cafe was decorated with lilies and fleur-de-lis. According to her, today's date was, it seemed to appear before Thibaut's eyes again. Thibaut did not expect him to remember so clearly. He really remembered the details. She started teasing him. "Ethan, do you remember that day you were constantly confused? I did not know you remembered that. It was so embarrassing. The teasing was so successful that I could not help but laugh. How could I not remember? You even asked me if I liked cake. But I clumsily did not answer." Word. The memory of their first date appeared in both of their minds. "Do you like flour cakes?" "I do not know. I like puff pastry," that is what I said. Thinking about his embarrassment at that time made Ethan's face turn red. He thought to himself, I was still quite clumsy at that time. But when he learned that the betrothal that his family had arranged was the saint that day, he could not completely control his overflowing joy. Was it fate? And now I can't help but flaunt my new ability. Now I can answer your questions very well, and do not stammer like before. As the story progressed, Thibaut asked Ethan, "Ethan, why are you writing to me today?" Ethan's face seemed to pause slightly. The pen that had been moving so quickly had stopped. He did not continue writing but remained silent. "Because I have not seen your reply yet. I feel like I have probably gone too far. I have not seen your reply. Maybe you are confused. I am really joking too much. I had to write again as a joke." I was about to continue writing when Ethan's reply was sent, "Because I felt worried about you." Hearing Ethan's expression, Thibaut was very surprised. Perhaps she did not expect the answer to be like this. Then there was emotion. Thibaut thought about how to respond to his concern. What should I answer? This is what she wants to hear the most. Yes, because she is worried about her. This is what she longs for. Someone is worried about her. His messages continue to come in. Even though he can't help, I still want to ask about your health. I miss him so much, Ethan. His affectionate words made the nostalgia in Thibaut's heart grow more and more. That nostalgia motivated her to take action. I want to see Ethan right now. Thinking of taking action, she immediately sent a text message to Ethan, saying he would come to the garden. "If you hear singing, please go outside." Putting on a thin shirt, she immediately left the room. But because she was banned from going out, it was difficult to leave the mansion. Now she has the strength. "Ethan, this problem cannot trouble you anymore. Coincidentally, today was a good day to call Pisces." Without further ado, she immediately called Leccia Pisces. A lovely little fish appeared with a beautiful fish tail and eyes sparkling with starlight. The fish exclaimed, It has been a long time since I came to that human world. I do not know how long it has been since I have been waiting for you to call me. How can I help you? Pisces the fish happily swims in the air in front of Thibaut. I need the ability to accomplish everything. There is a place I want to go. Receiving a text message from Thibaut, Ethan quickly stood up from her work chair. Maybe she was planning to go to Savat. Looking at the sky outside, he was a bit worried. It had been a long time since the sun had set. Duke Galley was still very strict. There would definitely be a strict schedule, but since she said Ethan, he would choose to believe it. My fiancé, I will prepare everything to welcome you. Ethan called the butler in and told him, Butler, do not let the servants walk around the hallway. She is someone who never jokes, so today she would really come here to this place, just to see me. Ethan very touched by Thibaut's actions. Ethan hurriedly ran out, heard the singing. He opened the door full of joy and anticipation. Sure enough, outside was his beautiful fiancée. She was sitting on the bench and singing like a robin. Her face when she sings is so beautiful. Her voice is so captivating. Thibaut opened her eyes. Now she looked like an angel, leaving her bewitched with no way out. Thibaut asked Ethan, the man standing in front of her, how did he feel about this night's music? Ethan got down on one knee and expressed like, such a dream, he said while gently kissing Thibaut's hand. Stood up, continued speaking because I was a bit hasty in preparing so I might have missed something. But I will let you be as comfortable as possible. I have been preparing for a while now to welcome you in the best possible way. Ethan put on his coat for Thibaut. It is cold, so put this on first. The air is still cold in the room that just turned on the heating. No, maybe it was because you suddenly came to me. Thibaut comforted Ethan would not feel guilty for not being able to properly prepare for her. Then Ethan let me sit down and say, please, sit down here and wait for me to bring you a drink. Thibaut called out, thank you, Ethan. At this time Pisces is still next to Thibaut. Because he is small, the fish can hide behind Thibaut's hair. Seeing Ethan's calm attitude when meeting Thibaut, Pisces could not help but wonder, did not that person ask her how to get here in just a moment? This is also what Thibaut is thinking. Just now she decided to come see him suddenly and too hastily, but she also did not intend to hide this heavy force from him. If he asked how she got here, if I do not have a carriage, I will explain this ability right away. But Ethan did not ask anything. He just welcomed me happily. It is clear he has a lot of things he wants to ask. Maybe it is because he cares about me, that is why he is like that. It really touched me. The decision to come see him was really wise. Pisces, she called the little fish waving in front of her. Thank you for bringing me here. In response to Thibaut's thanks, Pisces gently placed his small head on her and promised, if it is about connecting something, then I am very confident. Just call, we will continue if necessary. Just after saying goodbye to Pisces, Ethan came back. He gave her the glass of water in his hand and said, here. He worriedly told Thibaut that drinking a glass would be good for his body. Seeing him standing all this time, Thibaut called him back and said, come over here and sit. I have been walking around and I have been busy all this time. Already. As soon as he finished speaking, a voice came from outside, my Lord Duke, I have brought what you asked for, just in time. Ethan to speak. Let in, according to him, are two servants with a bunch of miscellaneous things in their hands. The maid put a blanket on the Thibaut, still looking bewildered. I brought the lady a blanket. I will take care of the coat. The maid continued her colleague's words and continued to speak to the Thibaut. And this is a dessert served with wine. I do not know when the pile of canned goods from earlier turned into a tray of food. Thibaut was bewildered by this scene and called her fiancé's name, Ethan. What is this? As soon as she asked, the furniture was completely prepared. Now the two of them were sitting next to each other in the warmth of the blanket draped over their body and the dessert on table. This place became quite deserted when Thibaut stayed. You had prepared the servants. Ethan tell Thibaut. Are you satisfied? It is very comfortable. Thibaut also does not hesitate to praise your thoughtful and delicate actions. Sometimes I could live here forever, Thibaut said innocently, not knowing how much weight her words carried for Ethan. She even wanted to cancel the engagement with him. Hearing Thibaut speak made Ethan feel a bit embarrassed. He was probably imagining a house and children. Ethan expressed his feelings to Thibaut. He thought of you and prepared everything. I do not know when you will come, but I carry the hope that one day you will come and collect one by one, and before I know it, it will be too much. I am so happy you came here. Just like I said, my face is now full of a radiant smile, brimming with light, as if the brilliant light from me could wipe away all the darkness and stillness out there. The smiling face and radiant appearance of Ethan made Thibaut pause for a moment. So you can keep everything, Ethan replied generously. Of course, that is why I prepared everything. Thibaut looked at the pile of sparkling gems and asked, Ethan, give me all these gemstone jewelry. Okay, Ethan, who could not wait to give everything to her, immediately replied, just take them, dear. Here with Ethan, Thibaut feels like she can be a carefree child, able to ask for whatever she wants without worrying about the complexities of the aristocracy. It even makes up for the love she lacked during her childhood. She also loves that painting and all the books on the shelf. Following her wishes, Ethan agrees. Tomorrow he will have the servants move everything. Holding a teddy bear in his arms, the child asked, do you have this teddy bear too? Compared to that, he is still very gentle. His expression now looks gentle like an elder. I am very happy that you like it. Seeing that she asked for something, she immediately agreed, making Thibaut laugh helplessly. She asked him, there is nothing that cannot be taken away if I ask for anything. You will give it all too, or what? Ethan also smiled and answered her, because I wanted to, if you can comfort me even in this way. Then you can take everything from me, take the opportunity, then continue to express your feelings to her. Thibaut smiled and said, I know what you will ask for. Anything is fine. Your unit, your finances. As they spoke, they clasped their hands together, holding tightly. He brought his face close to the Thibaut and said, even myself I will give to you. I will happily give you everything. As I said those words, the emotions in my eyes rolled like waves. I want to close the distance with her, who always takes a step back, because I always feel pushed away. But now, it seems everything has changed. She came to find me when I was most tired. The words I have not been able to say to her until now. This is the opportunity. I do not want to lose it, Ethan thought, and continued to express his feelings. So you can ask for anything. His eyes are filled with so many emotions. Ethan, whispering his name softly in her heart, Thibaut's determination to leave seemed to be shaken in that moment. He gave me unconditional love, and I wanted to give up everything to rely on it. Now I just need to hold on a little, just a little. Is to easily get close to each other. But the image of a bloody person locked in a dungeon appeared in Thibaut's mind. She was almost made weak by his feelings. Letting go of her hands that were touching his cheeks, Thibaut firmly said, sorry Ethan. I can't do it, the tragedy in the novel, I can't let it repeat itself. Ethan panicked and scared when he heard her answer. What is wrong with you? Ethan admitted, it is my fault. Is it because I am not good enough? Thibaut gently told you, it is more like the opposite. No one will love me like you, but maybe in the future there won't be any more. Ethan quickly shouted. Why? Thibaut continued, Ethan, it was you. You are a very good person, I hope you will be happy. Hearing these words from Thibaut, he was so scared that he could not say anything but call her name in a choked, desperate manner. Thibaut. Ethan, try to hold on to our relationship. It is okay if you do not rely on me, we can become good friends. But Thibaut still completely brushed it off. The situation is very bad now. If in this situation I keep relying on you, I can't be sure if it is using you as a shelter. Don't try to force or ask questions, just talk about other cases, if the situation gets better. Our relationship, can you rethink? Seeing clearly Ethan's clinging and unwillingness, Thibaut was not cruel enough to say more loveless words. There was silence for a long time, then she told Ethan, I know, I did not refuse him, but I did not agree either. After that, he also sent Thibaut back, and their late-night conversation ended. Standing behind the window, looking at the scene in the dark and quiet night, I felt so ironic that the person who held the only way for me to be happy was pushing me away to let me be happy. Ethan turned quickly into the room and ordered his bodyguard, shout, bring that person here. The pure and gentle face in front of the Thibaut was no longer there, replaced by a scary face like an Azura with eyes filled with murderous intent. We have to meet the traitors, poor thing. Surely these are mattresses to vent all our anger on. The next morning when he woke up, the sunlight streamed into the room through the window. Thibaut was still lying in bed and exclaimed, Wednesday was really dangerous. How can I take advantage of Ethan in this situation? That would be no different from pride. No, Thibaut told himself. Moreover, it was the first time she saw such comparison. On my face is a deep hurt, along with a pleading expression full of clinging. If the situation gets better about our relationship, can you think more? Looking at him so pitifully made Thibaut unable to refuse, so she replied that she knew, but would not that give him a useless opportunity? She would leave. She felt really uneasy about it. Own answer. The maid's call came from outside. Miss, have you woken up yet? But that did not stop Thibaut's train of thought. She was still immersed in her own thoughts. However, many things happened. But today I made a decision. Thibaut opened the drawer and took out the letter that had been prepared for who knows how long in the desk drawer. Come in. After entering the room, the maid Emily happily said as usual, I have prepared warm water for you to wash your face. Your meeting last night was compared to no one at the Gia mansion. I know everything. Thibaut said to her maid, "Thank you, Emily, and please send this letter to the Crown Prince," saying Thibaut while smiling meaningfully. "With a message to visit as soon as possible. I will not let things go according to his wishes," towards Crown Prince Kilian, receiving Thibaut's letter. He smiled and achieved his goal. Destination. An arrogant nobleman dares to tell me to come. It is just me, Thibaut. Even though he said so, the Crown Prince still carried the body to the galley mansion and walked step by step towards the Thibaut. Standing in the flower garden filled with colorful flowers, Thibaut smiled and said to Kilian, "As you see, in this situation I cannot leave the mansion. If you want to see me, the king will I have no choice but to come here myself." Not paying attention to Thibaut's somewhat arrogant words, the arrogant Crown Prince sat down on the chair and started straight to the main issue. "Ethan, you called me here. Perhaps I accepted it. My conditions last time." Without answering the Crown Prince's question, Thibaut mentioned something unrelated. "The National Founding Festival will take place in 2 days." As she said Thibaut, she sat down opposite Kilian. The saint was originally going to be the one to light the torch, but she kept refusing. Not only in the temple but also in the royal family, the host place is also awkward, right? Moreover, the person hosting this festival is the proud day. Having said that, Thibaut showed a full smile. Deep meaning. The words he wanted to say, and Thibaut's smile made Kilian wary. The smile that was always on his lips had disappeared, replaced by a serious expression. "What do you mean?" Thibaut put his hands on his chest and assumed responsibility. "I will solve that problem, but you must know that no help comes without a price." Thibaut suggested to Kilian to change the trading conditions. "In exchange for your help, instead of cancelling the marriage, I will promote the Reincarnated of the National Founding Festival." Hearing Thibaut say that, the Kilian's expression became serious and somewhat uncomfortable. He turned away and said somewhat angrily, "You only did that to prevent the engagement from being cancelled," Thibaut explained to me. "It seems you misunderstood." With a serious look on her face, she declared, "I will cancel the engagement. But I hope you won't interfere in our affairs. This is my problem and Ethan. And this is also a condition that is not bad for you. It is really exquisite." At a glance, Thibaut's conditions seem better than mine. In the beginning, she was the one who asked for help. "If you have lived this long, there will come a day when you have to bow your head before me." But now she is perfectly in charge of this transaction. That is right, it is true. He clenched his fists. On the contrary, it seemed like he was the one asking for help. Suppressing the discomfort in his heart, Kilian told Thibaut the details of the problem. Etienne continued to refuse to participate in the torch lighting ceremony, so the royal family's trustworthiness was greatly reduced. Kilian said seriously, "We can't just rely on speculation. We need a method to entice her to participate in this festival." "If so, do not worry, I can guess why Etienne is like that," Thibaut awkwardly replied. How could Kilian know that the cause of that was the person sitting in front his face now? Etienne refused everyone to visit, but she would want to hear my story, so I will surely be able to convince her, Thibaut confidently told the Crown Prince. "I am sure." Her face is filled with the look of knowing everything. "I am the only one who can solve this problem." Seeing you like that, Kilian can only cover his face helplessly and entrust the convincing to her. Then I changed the subject. "Tell me your plan to catch the culprit." Thibaut began to explain his plan to Kilian. She concluded, in short, it was a trap. "This is not too difficult, because the culprit's method is always the same." Kilian asked, "You mean all the people who offended you?" "Yes." While chatting with Kilian, Thibaut snapped his fingers. Just like that, it was enough for Emily to come in and pour tea for the two of them. The conversation was not interrupted at all. Everyone's attention was now focused on me and Etienne. From the royal banquet, when I accidentally shook Etienne's hand, there was a misunderstanding that our relationship was not good, and there were rumors that the reason Etienne denied being a saint was because I threatened her. Threaten? If Etienne participates in a big festival at this time, how will the culprit appear? Crown Prince Kilian put his hand on his chin in thought and spoke his mind. "I will send people to raid the scene right now. Because the population is Ethan large, it is difficult to identify the culprit. And people will easily tend to designate you as the culprit." But contrary to Crown Prince Kilian's worries, Thibaut said this was a good opportunity. As if realizing something, Crown Prince was so surprised that he stood up. "Perhaps," Thibaut continued, "Etienne would go into the cathedral as planned and light the torch, and I will go there too," she said with a look of determination on her face. Thibaut said something so unbelievable that the Crown Prince Kilian could not help but exclaim, "Have you lost your mind? Do you think it would be possible?" Not caring about the Crown Prince's rudeness, Thibaut continued to laugh and say, Up until now the rule is that only one person can light the torch. Is not that why I dragged you in? The Crown Prince is the host of the National Founding Festival. Because he was too surprised and rushed, he could not adjust the volume. If it was something else, maybe it would work, but this won't work. This torch lighting law is prescribed by the temple. Thibaut said as if it was a matter of course. He just needed to inform her. Seeing her like that, Crown Prince Killian could only hold his head helplessly. Oh my God. Remember that, Thibaut told me again. Everything related to the torch will be kept secret until the founding ceremony of the country. On that day we must by all means bring Etienne to the Holy Land. Secretly stationed people throughout the Holy Land, in case the culprit appeared. If what we predict is correct, the culprit appears to attack the Etienne, then we must gather troops to wait to arrest the criminal. After discussing with Crown Prince Killian, Thibaut thought to himself, this is the plan that will be revealed. No one will know the constellation ability that he possesses, and this is an unexpected variable of the perpetrator. I will use this ability to catch the culprit. Then she smiled and said to the Crown Prince, how is it, do you have any comments? Killian could only sigh in frustration. He had long known about Thibaut's daring streak. Then he told her, even if he did, he was not in the mood to listen. Then proud Lien gave Thibaut a promise. I will do as you wish, Thibaut. Seeing off the Crown Prince, Killian, she thought to herself that the war had begun. What is left is he allowed out? Mentioning crap means crap comes. Her grandfather just in time appeared and asked, why did the Crown Prince come here? Thibaut thought to herself when she sneaked out of the mansion to meet Ethan, because she only went out for a short time, she could hide it. As for the national founding ceremony, this is a big festival that takes place in one day. In order to be able to go with Etienne at that festival, I have to be free to go out. While thinking about how to respond, she answered his question. He just came to meet an old friend and chat for bit. Talking, so that is it, he replied. Please, I have to ask permission to go out. Even though I thought so, Thibaut still could not say a word. After the argument with my grandfather last time, this was the first time we talked properly together. Thibaut thought to himself, with an atmosphere like this, do not even think about allowing yourself to go out, you would not even dare to look at me. It seems a bit too much, because thinking like that, Thibaut can't ask permission to say hello to you. I will go back to my room first. Thibaut thought reluctantly. There was no other way than to sneak into Etienne's mansion thanks to the power of the constellations. That scene had even appeared in detail in her mind. When Etienne suddenly asked the princess, how could you be here? And she replied, I snuck in. When Thibaut was about to turn away, he suddenly spoke again. Do you have anything special to do this evening? His next words made her extremely surprised. Let us have a meal together, sir. Would you like to invite me to a meal? There was no reason for her to refuse his invitation to dine with him, and besides, she also wanted a chance to talk to him, but what she did not expect was that he was the one to ask first. When the two of them had a meal together, he was also the one who spoke first. Thibaut, you're going to see Etienne, right? I called the Crown Prince here because of that. The things you did secretly were said Ethan openly by Grandpa. Thibaut was very scared, but she told herself not to panic. There was no way he could have known about the plan during the nation's founding ceremony. What could have been Ethan easy? Thinking Ethan, she confidently covered it up with words that were not necessarily true to him. I complained to the Crown Prince. She told herself in her heart, I will tell the truth. I will lie about the important parts, and tell him that I still want to meet Etienne, but I do not want to do anything that will make him worry. It will be very difficult for him to realize, Thibaut thought with some peace of mind. But Grandpa's next words surprised Thibaut again. I did not intend to question your guilt. He began to express his heart to Thibaut, from the beginning until now. Even if everyone around you thinks it is impossible and tries to dissuade you, you still do not give up. If you want something. That stubbornness. When he said these words, there was something sad on his face. Maybe like your father. Your grandmother always advised that boy, with very kind words. Like, do not do dangerous things, your safety is not just yours. At least if you need help, tell your family, we will be by your side and help you. At that time I could not understand my wife. Why did she keep saying the same things? But since the boy left after that accident, as I hugged the boy's cold, stiff, bloody, slimy body, I regretted it, regretted not being able to say any words of concern to the boy. In that moment of despair, I found you in the carriage that overturned in the accident, lying in your mother's tight embrace. A newborn baby could have survived that terrible accident. It was because of the love and protection of your parents. That was also a miracle. I think it was the opportunity that God gave me. Ethan, I will definitely protect you. But now when you are in danger, I can't help you even once. However, if you stay at the mansion like now, The family can protect you until public opinion calms down. So can you give me a chance to protect you? Listening to my sincere confessions, I suddenly do not know how to react. This has never happened in the monster flower. This is the first time he has expressed such painful emotions. It is also the first time he has expressed his feelings towards her. I still can't forgive him, but I want to respond in the most honest way, like the sincerity you showed. Thibaut decided to tell the secret that she has kept in her heart for a long time. I intend to leave the empire. Hearing Thibaut say that, he was really surprised. Did he leave? He asked again right after. Do you intend to go into exile? Answering his question, Thibaut smiled lightly and replied, I have been thinking about this for a long time. I am going to the Magic Empire CG. To get there I researched divine power and magic. I used what I learned to raise the knife in my hand, as if to prove my determination to leave. Originally I was planning to leave here without any announcement, but if it were now I would have announced it because he was willing to say my feelings, and also because I wanted to respond to his feelings. Grandfather. His face looked as if he understood everything. Now I know Wchen you support Etienne's naturalization, or Wchen you easily give up the position of saintess. It is all because you are leaving here. Thibaut decided to tell him her truest feelings from the bottom of her heart. She could not find happiness in this place. Hearing Thibaut's words and understanding her determination, he replied, So it seems like you have made a very firm decision. Even if I try to hold on, it won't help. He seemed to accept it and said, Just do as you wish. Everything happened so fast and smoothly that I could not believe it, so that means. He added as if to confirm his earlier agreement to follow her. It is okay for you to go see Etienne. He was very happy to hear Thibaut's agreement. Not only did he agree, he also came out to handle her troubles. If the public knew it, it would not be good, so I will come out and say I am coming to visit. But it won't be easy for me to meet Etienne. Hearing you say that, Thibaut also adjusted his emotions and expressed that he already knew. He had heard that rumor. The fact that Etienne does not agree with outsiders visiting her. He pondered and made a comment, everyone knew that, but there was no way a young lady who had just debuted could react so quickly. Just as I protect you in the mansion, Count Guillet is protecting Etienne in the same way. The story goes to the scene of Count Guillet and Etienne. In contrast to the warm and gentle scene of his and Thibaut's galley mansion, Count Guillet is crumpling up some pieces of paper and shouting loudly in the face of the frightened Etienne, without even bothering to discuss with me and daring to utter those words. Do you know what you have done, Etienne? Count Guillet was now really angry. He said loudly to Etienne, You quickly ask for forgiveness from the temple and correct your statement. Miss Etienne just averted her eyes. Elsewhere she said, I am sorry for not discussing it with you in advance. But at this point, Miss Etienne is very stubborn, but I have no thoughts of correcting that statement, because I am not a saint. Etienne began to recall the past. When she was about 10 years old, she had lost her way in the forest. No one was there, she could only tremble and cry out for help. Yes, is there anyone here? The faint cry rang out in the cold loneliness of the dark air in the forest. Then I kept walking and walking but could not find my way out of the forest. It is not okay. Worry is filling Miss Etienne's small figure. I have to go back before it gets dark. Unfortunately, while wandering on the forest path to find a way home, Etienne encountered it, a giant wild boar, staring at her with eyes as sharp as more than 24 swords. Baby, the distance between her and it is very close. If attacked, her small body will not be able to withstand a blow. When she was 10 years old, she had only heard about it, but had never seen it with her own eyes. As soon as she saw it, she knew what she had to do right now, which was to run away, but her legs could not move. Unable to move, fear froze the 10-year-old girl's legs. Could it be that she would die here? But surprisingly, there was a smaller wild boar pulling her dress, and even more surprising was that she could sense the mana of these monsters. Etienne softly called out, Guys, when looking at the sparkling eyes of the monster children, it seemed not difficult for Miss Etienne to recognize their purpose. Want to help me? The cuteness of the piglets erased her fear of the mother wild boar. The pigs stared at her. She also sat down calmly with them. Eek! A little pig suddenly cried out happily when he knew that Etienne understood his good intentions. The fear she felt when she saw the monster for the first time suddenly disappeared. Etienne walked along the path they had indicated, and safely arrived at the village entrance. That was the first time she noticed her special ability. My own. Returning to the current scene, Etienne is sure that she was not mistaken at the party. Those blue shapes that the princess had summoned were clearly happy to welcome her. Just like the first day she met the monster, nothing was different. Etienne's face was slightly sad. Who knows, the princess still has not realized her own abilities. So before she knows the truth, I can't be in the position of a saint, with such strong determination. Etienne said confidently to Count Guillet. The princess is the main character in the words, prophesy. Ha ha, Etienne, now Princess Thibaut is nothing. Count Guillet pushed his glasses and said contemptuously and unpleasantly. Duke Gali is resolutely protecting her. At this rate she will easily become the next duke. He continued, but that was all. A princess who lost her position as a saint and became a duke would be subjected to endless ridicule. So, Etienne, you must revive the damaged honor of the Duke of Galilee as a saint. The Count Guillet pressed close to Etienne and said madly. But Etienne was still very determined. She believed in what she saw. I saw it. The princess has a special ability. Clearly there was a mistake somewhere. Count Guillet covered his face helplessly before Etienne's determined attitude. He softened his voice and advised, even so, the fact that you are the main character of the prophecy will not change. Isn't the ability you possess proof? Hearing Count Guillet say that, Etienne does not know how to justify it, because she also really has special abilities. Etienne hesitated that. Count Guillet continued to corner Etienne's arguments. You think the female saint is really Thibaut? It is just like you are turning your back on the temple and the royal family, those who announced you are a saint. In addition to the rumors of the princess's murder, she also committed the crime of disrespect. What do you tell me to wait and see, Etienne? Count Guillet shouted loudly at Etienne, who was looking down sadly. Don't tarnish Galli's reputation any further. After saying that with an unpleasant expression, Count Guillet turned away. Until you change your mind, you are not allowed to leave the mansion. A detention order for Etienne is given. You cannot change Count Guillet's will. The servant suddenly opened the door and called in Count, you must come out now. But not paying attention to what the servant said, the Count continued his conversation with Etienne. Moreover, the temple had sent people to attend the founding ceremony, calling Tylo to go, but the servant could not do Ethan. Do not interfere, he said that. The Duke of Galilee is here in person. Hearing that the Duke of Galilee came directly to Count Guillet, he had to rush out. When he arrived, he was still panting, gasping for breath and said, Sir, what are you doing here? Duke Gali replied ethanlamely, explaining why he appeared here. I heard it from my niece. It seems that Miss Etienne mistook her for a saint. I mean, she saw the Thibaut in the dark, and thought she was using magical powers. It is true my niece could not appear, so there was no other choice but for me to come here directly. Hearing that, Count Guillet could not help but rub his hands in joy. Can you take me to a place where I can talk privately with Miss Etienne? Hearing the proposal of the Duke of Galilee, Count Guillet immediately warmly replied, of course. I will take you right away. As he walked, Count Guillet darkly thought to himself, perhaps, maybe I can do foreign affairs activities as a Gali faster than expected. When meeting Duke Gali, Etienne politely asked, Is there anything you want to tell me? You still do not know, Duke Gali said with a serious face, making her unable to understand, so she had to ask again. What are you talking about? Listening to her question, Duke Gali smiled slightly. After that, Duke Gali's face gradually disappeared to reveal that inside was Princess Thibaut. She said to Etienne, It is me, Thibaut. If it is me, then Etienne's uncle. He would stop me outside. Ethan, I used his image for a bit. Seeing such a scene, Etienne was bewildered and stammered, Indeed. Sure enough, I was not mistaken that day. I saw that the volume of the Etienne was a bit too much. Thibaut quickly covered her mouth and reminded her, Shush, you are too loud, they will hear everything. Etienne put on a crazy look and asked repeatedly, What was the image just now? Thibaut was a bit helpless in front of her love for her. If she had to explain, it would be quite complicated. Then she explained it was the borrowed power of the constellations. It was a kind of magic and divine power. I borrowed the power of the Gemini constellation to create illusions. Etienne said in response to Thibaut, the princess said that it was nothing, but that was truly amazing power for me, who knew nothing about magic. Etienne continued to affirm that, after all, the saint is the princess, not me. Hearing that, Thibaut firmly said, Indeed, she had seen me at the party that day. She was worried that Thibaut would mistake her for a peeper. Etienne frantically explained, I did not intentionally see her. Where? Thibaut shook her head to show that she did not care and said, I do not intend to blame you, but Etienne, it was just a misunderstanding. There are many other people besides me who can also control the constellations. Just go to the temple and you can see it right away. Thibaut explained to Etienne to understand. But Etienne is the only one who can control monsters. If not her, then who would be the saint? Etienne was confused by Thibaut's words. I do not know, she has never been there before, thinking of myself as a saint or anything. Etienne spoke her thoughts to Thibaut. No matter what I thought, I was not worthy of becoming a saint. The princess said that the power was nothing special, but there were very few people who could use magic and divine power. If I say this, people will no longer criticize you, and there will also be people who believe that you are a saint like me. Even so. But the princess still decided to hide her power. Tell the truth, princess, Etienne persuaded. Enthusiastic Etienne, please tell the truth, princess. I can't lie forever, Thibaut had to share. There is no other way. The truth is, I intend to go into exile. Etienne could not believe his ears. He stood there, panicked. What was this all about? Thibaut continued calmly. Etienne is right. With this power I will be welcomed wherever I go, and can even return to the position of a saint. But if this power is discovered, the empire will not let me go easily. Both the temple and the royal family will take advantage of me. That is why I decided to leave. Thibaut is depressed, looks down. I am tired of a life of being taken advantage of. Miss Etienne looked at Thibaut in pain. She had just realized something important. Until now, I thought the princess still did not realize her strength and unfairly left her position as a saint. Risk it. But the princess is the one who understands her power better than anyone. However, Etienne was worried and hesitantly continued. I still do not know. Am I suitable for the position of this saint? The princess has built her reputation as a saint for a long time, yet she was pulled down in just a moment. Such a sudden incident makes Etienne unable to help but worry. I am really useless in this position, it is scary. Noticing Etienne's insecurity, Thibaut walked over and held her hand tightly. The issue was not Etienne she was suitable for this position or not. But Etienne, you are a saint. Thibaut's actions made Etienne extremely touched, princess. Thibaut steadfastly looked straight into Etienne's eyes. I wanted to see her become a wonderful saint, and to see her righteously face the disasters of the mainland. She affirmed, no matter what anyone says, that truth will not change, Etienne, believe me. Hearing those warm words, Etienne was moved and tearful, speechless. She now understands, after all. Until now I only thought about avoiding responsibility. Ethan, I firmly believe that the princess is a saint. It is not the position of the saintess of prophecy that gets everyone's attention. I just want to go back to my old life. And quickly wiped the tears rolling down her cheeks. The princess was right. I can't just hide from this truth. Now that little lady has made up her mind, I will no longer avoid responsibility. Because of that day, I decided to side with the princess. Etienne loudly affirmed to Thibaut, I will attend the founding ceremony, and I will go to the temple to baptize. I will become the saint of this empire. Thibaut saw that and nodded in satisfaction. Very good. Before that, I have a plan. You have to go to the Zodiac Guild headquarters. As soon as she opened the door, a stream of darkness appeared. It has been a long time since she came. The first queen constellation, it turns out it is Malin. Thibaut smiled. You know Malin. Lately I have not been able to move freely because of my family's control. Malin stubbornly replied. If the most powerful person in the guild is like that, then what should I do? Thibaut calmly, if you have that kind of ability, I believe you have already taken care of everything and thank you. Without you, I would not have been able to be absent for Ethan long. Hearing that, Malin was a bit surprised. Shyly turned away. He scratched his head, confused, and replied, okay, if not me, then who should I give this job to? Then immediately returned to the main task. And do you know that I was very surprised to hear that news? I heard that you went to Miss Etienne's place to cooperate. It seems like you mentioned that plan, Thibaut replied, because I decided to become bait to catch the culprit. Ethan, I had to do it, and she also had to know the truth. A few hours ago, Thibaut talked about the plan with Etienne. When listening to Thibaut's words, Etienne became very worried, even though it was to catch the culprit, but directly became a bait. Too reckless, but Thibaut did not seem to have any fear, calmly said, I know, it is really dangerous. I take responsibility for the safety of the Etienne. But Etienne vehemently objected. This was too hasty compared to the princess. It might not be as good, but at least I did not want to become an obstacle. This made Thibaut a bit uncomfortable. Oh. Etienne firmly said, you just need to focus on catching the culprit. I will ensure your own safety. Thibaut shares with Malin. When she first arrived in the capital, I thought she was just a child. But I did not expect her to have such thoughts. Malin heard that and laughed. Nothing special. Thibaut asked in bewilderment why. Malin happily explained if it was before, she would have handled everything herself, not telling anyone the truth. Thibaut heard that and thought of himself thinking about it. If it was me before, I would have shouldered everything because I thought, there is no one I can trust. Should I trust? No, I can't be careless because the past few days have been going well. I can't be negligent because the past few days have been going well. Moreover, I still have things to deal with now. Don't talk about side topics anymore. Let us get down to business, Malin. Have you figured out what I asked you to do? Malin is confident, although it is quite difficult. But I am the leader of the Do-D Guild. To see, of course. I have collected all the information. Having said that, he pointed to the information board. The most unpredictable character out there is none other than young Master Lunette. Thibaut thought to himself, even if it were me, I am not sure I would be able to both catch the culprit and prevent his death. Malin stuck the bloody knife into the board and said, the person I dealt with before disappeared after the party, and the bounty killers keep coming and going every day. The guild is handling this, but it is hard to follow a guy who knows nothing but only hangs out with women, and he already has a fiancé. You are suffering thanks to that. I can't wait until you die. Thibaut immediately comforts you. Do not worry, today will end. And now, Thibaut has a new plan, although it is a bit sad, but I will let young Master Lunette go into exile first. Hearing that, Malin wondered, exile. Thibaut continued, Malin, report to us the area where the murder occurred. Malin recalled, pointing out each location. Let us see, Lois 6 Lon He Liao, and he immediately discovered the clue, perhaps. Thibaut pointed to the map. Yes, it all happened around the capital. Malin mused. So the culprit's target was in the capital. Thibaut did not let him think too much. He immediately stated his plan. So if young Master Lunette got out of the capital, he could escape the culprit's target. Malin wondered, but how to take him away? My brother always hides behind his father's back. Thibaut smiled, confidently replied. That is why I told him to continue following young Master Lunette. His personal life is not clean at all. And they always prevent rumors that he changes girls like he changes clothes. But what will happen if it spreads in an important place? I mean at the dinner party. The Duchess of Bernacia's dinner party, held every year and where young couples about to be married gather to ask the Duchess's congratulations and advice. Malin said, according to information, young Master Lunette will definitely be there because such events will have a good influence on him. Thibaut sighed and replied, I guess he is evaluating too high in his father's position. That is why she dared to attend such big parties. The position of the Duchess of Bernacia in the upper class was very strong. But if the secret that young Master Lunette has been hiding is revealed there, of course, the Count will no longer be able to protect his son, and they won't even be able to survive in the upper class. Thibaut smiled. Let him know that he can't hide behind his father forever. And Malin also seems to be interested in this. I finally feel like working. Turns out young lovers promise love. It will be a pleasure to attend the dinner party today. The couple raised a glass of wine to celebrate the upcoming founding anniversary of the country, and also prayed to the temple to bless everyone. Thibaut and Ethan also raised their glasses. Thibaut smiled and gently said to Ethan, Thank you for coming with me, Ethan. Ethan smiled and replied, I just feel guilty that I can't spend a whole day with you. He was sad. It was a shame because he had unfinished business. Maybe you can't believe I came to the mansion. Thibaut saw that he was so worried and quickly explained, It is because I called you too suddenly. She looked intently at her fiancé, thinking back, this was the first time we would meet each other. Until now, I still thought he was just a fiancé chosen by my family, but when I learned what he thought about me, that was no longer the case. The tension is different from normal. Oh my god. Suddenly someone called, Princess, so it is you here. Thibaut saw that they were happy, the Count said. Ethan, with no expression on his face, he asked politely, This is the first time I meet you. Are you Thibaut's friend? Thibaut said, I will introduce you. This is my friend, the Count, and that person is his fiancée, Miss Codell. They are the ones who sent me the invitation to this dinner party. Warmly, Duke, it is a pleasure to meet you. I have heard a lot about you from the princess. Jeep was about to continue, but Thibaut shyly stopped him. Hey. She secretly signaled, Do not you have something to tell me? Still bitter in your heart, really? I told you not to make such useless jokes. In fact, the Earl is Malin. The night before, Thibaut had asked him to infiltrate the party in this way. You told me to also attend that dinner party. Thibaut was calm. Giving him a fake identity was no big deal. Cover your face in embarrassment, miss. Maybe because you look at my precious face every day you do not know. Then immediately became serious again. As the head of the Zodiac Information Guild, appearing in such a big event is quite difficult, as if declaring yourself the leader gang with everyone. Why do not you let me use my strength and sneak in there like always? Thibaut replied. In this case, just sneaking in like that won't work. We need an assistant nearby to create situation we want. Suddenly Malin had an idea. So if you ask the lady or some friend. Actually, Thibaut also thought about this method, but it did not work. The person who was asked refused straight away. I do not think there is anyone like that. I am sorry, but I will refuse. I do not want to get caught up in this. Thibaut turned away in shame. That is right, making Malin cry. Even if my face appeared on the Imperial Square, I would still attend. Thibaut saw that and immediately comforted him. If it was the problem he was talking about, there was no need to worry. Hearing that, Malin felt relieved. Thibaut is excited. We have found the market leader who will help us. Malin is still in shock. When I saw the constellation Gemini appear next to her, I was so startled that I almost fell back. It turns out that Gemini can transform into the summoner's appearance. It is okay to be difficult, Malin signaled to Thibaut. The other side is handing out the cakes you are looking for. Thibaut quickly turned to see that person. Young Master Lunette's fiancé, Princess Masahira. She is the eldest daughter of the Duke family. Because of the decline in status, she has to marry the son of the influential Lunette family. Malin said, it seems like they have discovered us over there too. Young Master Lunette rushed forward. Who is this? He said sarcastically, are not you the princess rumored to be the murderer? I can't believe that you still came to the dinner party looking like that, with an air like the fiancé of Duke Sava Silk. Seeing that, my blood boiled. What are you saying? But Thibaut quickly stopped him. It is okay, just leave it to me. She boldly walked up to Lunetta. It was strange. She did not expect that young Master Lunette would say something like that. He was the most unwelcome person. It is none other than young Master Lunette. Lunette was extremely angry when he heard that. What did you say? Thibaut continued, this is a dinner party for couples. And you change girls like you change clothes. There is nothing suitable for this place. The young master heard that and was extremely worried. But I still tried to act calm. I did not understand what she was saying at all. Could it be that a noble princess like you would believe such nonsense rumors? Thibaut continued, I am haunted by rumors like that, so I only believe in what I see with my own eyes. I could not help but believe it. Because young Master Lunette once proposed to me. When he came here, Lunette's face darkened, miss. That is right. Young Master Lunette feels confident all the time and tries to seduce himself to become his man. Count Jeep could not believe his ears. Hey again, is it true? Thibaut calmly replied. Earl Jeep probably does not know because he rarely attends parties like this. Young Master Lunette ignored the fact that I had a fiancé, and still flirted with me. To the point that there is almost no one who does not know this. Ethan listening to Thibaut tell it. His voice serious, I thought. Said the Count, boiling with blood, should have a deep conversation with me. Lunetta is scared, is not at all in the past. The fiancé does not show anything, wants to pull him away. Lunette, let us go, there are many eyes watching. She politely admitted her mistake. My fiancé was rude. I will apologize on his behalf, making Lunen even more angry. It should be me who accepts the apology. Seeing that, the princess coldly told Lunette that causing chaos in this place would not do any good. Isn't that what your father also requited? This is an important place, so let us end it quickly. Hearing that, Lunette suddenly remembered that is right. If I just get through today and marry this woman, I will become a duke. Because of his not-so-good goal. He obediently left. My fiancé said so I will leave, but she won't be able to hold her head high and go like that forever. He thought to himself, I will pay you for literally everything almost. Suddenly, a girl blocked Lunette's path. Is she young Master Lunette? Lunette was stunned when he saw her, this person. Now is the time for his secret to be revealed in front of everyone. The girl happily continued, so it is you here.